Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Football, TITTH number 134. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. I got a whole gang of characters with me today. We got a special guest in Rob from Sports Bliss with Rob and Chris. How you doing, Rob?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yep, appreciate you coming aboard, being on today. Glad to have you on. We also got Imran and Nick, two stones of the show. What do we got, guys? How we doing? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Glad to be talking football. Had a little scare with my cat, but you can see he's kind of like my cat parrot today. He's just chilling on some meds. He is okay. So, just glad to be everybody be chill right now.
Yeah, that's true. He's usually on here making a whole fuss, meowing, scratching a table or something like that. Yeah, he's knocked out.
Yeah.
The meds are working. They're working.
Yeah, exactly.
How are we doing, Imran?
Good, guys. Good to be back. I'm excited. It's draft week. It's finally here. It felt like it takes months every year to get to it, but super pumped for Thursday. Honestly, the whole weekend. It's going to be really cool seeing what happens this weekend, because I think there's going to be a lot of surprises with people that we don't think are or have on our radar that are going to go a lot higher, just because no scouting combine, right? All we're going off as pro days where guys, if we went to a pro day, I'm pretty sure all four of us would have ran a 4.252, just like everybody seems to be doing now.
Yeah, you guys got any big draft night plans? I know me and Nick are going to be watching, maybe having a few drinks, get into some fights on Twitter.
Yep.
Oh, definitely. I can't wait. I'm really interested to see what the Bucks take, because they can go any which way. I mean, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, they're still at the back end there.
Yeah, all those riches, right? Brought back everybody from a Super Bowl team. Now they get to add 7 new rookies. Must be nice.
Yeah. Not too bad. You guys got any big plans for this weekend? I know it's Sunday, but anybody do anything exciting?
Nope.
Nah.
No, just here in the rain in Florida. So I mean, hopefully it'll clear up and can get outside later.
Yeah. Just going to go outside, enjoy some outdoors today. Maybe go on a hike after this. Been talking sports all weekend, and yesterday was pretty solid. Did pretty well in basketball and not so great in UFC. I didn't bet on the UFC, which was great. So I don't really know how I made more money by winning money in basketball or not betting on the UFC. It was a weird night. So. But let's jump into it. Let's get into the show here, get into the meat and potatoes, clock in, as we say. First up on recent news, we got Mike Tomlin signing his 3-year extension. Buy or sell, the Steelers make a run at the Super Bowl with the Tomlin and Roethlisberger era. We got 3 years left here. I don't know how much time we got left for Roethlisberger, but can Roethlisberger and Tomlin get back to the Super Bowl? Buy or sell, guys? We'll start with you, Rob.
At first I was going back and forth on this because I really like Mike Tomlin. And I wanted to buy it, but I just can't. I can't buy it because of the Steelers right now. I think their offensive line is in shambles, and Big Ben, I don't think is just going to hold up. So I don't know how much longer he's going to make it. I don't think this is a negative towards Mike Tomlin, but I just don't think this team is going to, as much as I don't like the Browns, I don't think they can overtake the Browns. Their D line and offensive line for the Browns are too good against the Steelers team.
All right, so we got Rob selling. What about you, Nick? What do you say?
Definitely selling. I think Pouncey leaving and retiring, I think that's going to be an underrated loss for the Steelers. I mean, having a center there for a decade is pretty solid. I don't see Roethlisberger. Last year, if anytime they're going to go to the Super Bowl, it was last year. They went 11-0, and then they just completely shit the bed to end the season. So that basically showed me that they can't have a huge run because they won't be able to last. If anything, they might go a little deep, maybe get past the first round and maybe have a dominating performance, but I don't see it happening with Roethlisberger again. If Tomlin comes on for a second extension, I definitely see Tomlin leading the Steelers to another Super Bowl, but they're going to have to make some changes on the team to be able to do that.
What do you think, Imran?
Yeah, I got to join the party, unfortunately, and sell. I think the Steelers, since Mike Tomlin's been there, I don't think they've ever had a losing record, and I think he'll keep them in the playoffs. They'll probably getting in, but I mean, to really make that next step, I think they have a lot of holes on offense. This was a team I was hoping that had Big Ben retired this offseason. They could have been a player, somebody like maybe Matthew Stafford, like getting him over. I think getting like a quarterback like that, who's a solid quarterback, arguably top 10, I think that would have given him life, and I could definitely see the run happening there. But with the roster as it's constructed right now, I just think it's they're definitely a playoff team. I think they'll make the playoffs probably for the next 3 years, but I don't know. Like last year, they, like Mick mentioned, they went 11-0 and they got thrashed by the Browns in the opening round.
Yeah, it's really tough to trust their offense. Obviously, there's a lot of pieces to be desired on defense, so that's going to keep their playoff contention. I think at hopeful levels, throughout the year, they're going to have plenty of upside to still make the playoffs. But yeah, I wouldn't trust them. Offensive line questions, running back questions, and quarterback questions. The guys to back up Ben Roethlisberger, you're looking at Mason Rudolph. That guy can get out of the league in my opinion. I'll take Ben DiNucci over Mason Rudolph. And then you got Dwayne Haskins, and that's all I got to say, right? Like I don't see Tomlin correcting the Dwayne Haskins situation, right? So I agree with you. That would have been a much better situation to put themselves in had they been more aggressive and maybe like a Matthew Stafford or I don't know, maybe even a Sam Darnold move. We heard Juju, banging that drum a little bit, throughout the offseason. So I have to sell as well. Clean sweep on the sell. Tomlin and Roethlisberger going back to the Super Bowl, at least in this era, in the next 3 years. I just don't see it. I think that they should potentially be looking at a quarterback in this draft. But let's say they grab like a Najee Harris or a Travis Etienne in their first or second pick. Does that change your guys' opinion at all, or still the same?
No, not for me. I mean, those are two electric running backs. I do think that either one of them would help the Steelers, but there are deeper issues than just a running back. I mean, Barry Sanders was one of the greatest running backs of all time, but he actually has the most negative yards in NFL history. So think about how much stuff he had to overcome with just a terrible line. So I think the line is going to be the biggest issue. I mean, there's a lot of turnover there. So they got to fix that or make some moves there.
Yeah, I think we all said it. It's the line. The line play is bad for them. You can have the best skill players if you can't protect the quarterback. It doesn't matter who you have back there.
Super Bowl.
Let me throw something to you guys. What do you think about them picking up a Kyle Trask to sit behind Roethlisberger and then take over in a year or two?
Didn't they try that with Mason Rudolph?
Well, I mean, you got to do something, and they part of their problem is cap, right? So they've got to reduce their cap, and how you do that, you have a cheap quarterback. We all know that's part of the model now, right?
Right.
Yeah, and so I think what they did, I mean, I wouldn't be against it, but the stuff we're talking about, right? It taking a running back in round one, and they have all these holes on the offensive line. And if they take a developmental quarterback, because we all know quarterbacks are going to get overdrafted, Trask is going to go in the round two. So if their first two picks are, Etienne or Harris, who are both electric players, nothing against them, and then it's Trask. And we were just talking about their Super Bowl run. That looks like signs of them trying to build towards the future, right?
Right. Yeah, so maybe they just bail on the now, but that's not why Big Ben came back. I mean, he came back to push this team into contention. So I like the move for the Steelers because I'm a big Tomlin guy. I think he's a great coach in the NFL, and I would love to see them find success again. I just don't see it with this run of players right now.
Correct.
All right, so let's move on here. We've got a Devontae Booker signing in New York. He's going to be the backup, it looks like, for Saquon Barkley. Buy or sell Devontae Booker being fantasy relevant in 2021? We'll go with Rob to go around the horn.
I'm not a huge fantasy guy, but the way I look at it is it could be, because I think he can be explosive on that third down, especially in the receiving game. And you look back, he had a very good rookie year from that standpoint. And kind of over the years, it dwindled down. I think they'll need to pass more and targeting more that way. That's the way he's going to get fantasy points and be relevant. And, who knows what's going to happen with Saquon also. He's got to come back. How much can he carry the ball? Are they going to limit him some and give more carries to other people or more downs? So I think that's where his role is going to come in if he makes an impact.
What do you think, Nick?
Honestly, I'm going to say sell. The way that they're saying, Saquon's coming back very healthy. He is a 3-down back. It's really just to spell him. So you might get, like the Jordan Howard treatment of Miami last year. Very infrequent, but, big enough fantasy relevant plays. But I wouldn't be looking to depend on him in any kind of way.
What do you think, Imran?
Only if Saquon goes down.
Yeah.
That's really it. I mean, Saquon's coming back. The only positive to his injury, hopefully he's back healthy, is he got injured in week 2 last year, so hopefully he should have enough time to recover and come back. But yeah, Devontae Booker, it looks to me like Wayne Gallman last year. If Barkley gets injured or misses time, then he's got value. Otherwise, he's just a guy.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's really that big of a headline. I'm going to sell it as well. You're going to need a big injury either from Saquon or even a receiver, because Devontae Booker, like Rob mentioned, like he does have pass catching upside. So I think if one of those receivers were to get hurt, even if Slayton, who is now the 3rd receiver on this roster, I feel like that would give him a little bit more upside. So he's a guy that you're waiting for an injury. But if you get one of those, I do feel like he's going to be a heavy streaming option in redraft leagues. Let's move on here. We got Roger Goodell. Kind of talking about the potential new overtime rule for a spot and choose. What do you guys think about this spot and choose idea? It came from the Ravens. I believe they proposed it. And it doesn't sound like it's going to get off the ground this year, but the essential concept is one team will pick the spot of the ball to start overtime, and then their opponent chooses whether to play offense or defense. Buy or sell this rule having a future in the NFL?
Sell.
Go through.
I don't like it.
I buy it.
Good.
I think there's a chance. I don't know if it's going to be exactly how it is right now, but the NFL overtime rules are so archaic. The fact that we can still have ties is absolutely stupid. They need to do something, whether it's college style rules or something. I mean, this is intriguing. When I was reading this, when I was looking at the show sheet, it looks to me the only way you can really do it is put the line at the 50, right? You can't really put it anywhere else. Yeah, I mean, to have the advantage. But I mean, we need to do something like the fact that you can still have ties and overtime of the rules. I mean, it's just you just make it simple. Give each team the ball at the 40 and just keep going until somebody stops scoring.
Yeah, shootout rules. Give me the college approach.
Yeah, I like that. That's what I was going to say. College rules, put it at the 40. I think that's great. And college just changed their rules too. I don't know if you guys saw it, but they said the first overtime you do whatever, second overtime if you get a touchdown you have to go for 2. And then after that, they're just going to go for 2-point conversions. You get 1 down. So 1 down versus 1 down until someone can't get it. And so I like that too. I think that's pretty intriguing. It speeds up the game. It keeps injuries down, and you don't end up with ties. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I look to it as like the NHL's adaptation to the shootout. Like you just want to see that constant back and forth, and we can get out of here with one team getting a win. That's as simple as it is, right? It's the same approach, really. Whether you're doing it, all right, everybody at the 10-yard line, you get 1 shot, you get in the end zone, whatever it is. Or if you just do like just the back and forth, we get a touchdown, you got a match or to get the ball back or whatever it is. So I'd like to see that. I'm not a fan of the spot and choose. I don't see any upside for it in the future. You got anything to close that one down, Nick?
At this point, we should just have the mascots, just fight it out at the 50-yard line and just call it a day. Really keep down the injuries of the high dollar players, and it'll just bring in entertainment. So I think they're just trying to just change the game as much as they can. They really focus on overtime, but I think the onside kick, I think that's stupid. What did the AAF do? They did something where they did
the same thing. This was their rule, I think.
The 4th and 15 is the AFF rule.
Yeah.
But it's the 4th and 15. I don't like another team being able to choose. Just put it on the line and just go from there. Do the coin toss, whatever. I don't know. They're trying to have a little too much control, but I think it's just going to end up, like you guys said, and ending up at the 50-yard line.
Yeah, if they went with that rule, absolutely. And I just don't know where Harbaugh came up with this. Do they feel like the Ravens would benefit from this for some reason? I don't know who came up with it, but whatever. All right, let's move on. Next up, we've got Jalen Hurts. The Eagles have not committed to him being their starter. Buy or sell Hurts as the Week 1 starter for the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll go with Rob first. Round the horn.
I'm buying it. I think they kind of drew the line and said, this is the way we're going. I think they have to go that way and just build the team up because they still have a lot of holes and see how he develops and give him at least a full season and see what happens. I think they said this mainly to just maybe light a fire under Jalen Hurts to say, hey, listen, this is not guaranteed that it's yours. But I don't see any other way. They have to start him and develop him.
What do you think, Nick?
I think he doesn't. If he doesn't start, there might be a revolt in Philadelphia because they they made their their move by giving up Carson Wentz. And apparently he was the guy causing a lot of confidence issues with Wentz. And now they're kind of like, I understand like having him work for it and stuff like that. But I'm saying that I'm buying because honestly, like who are you going to be able to get in the draft that will be able to help you right away?
Right.
They won't even know the playbook like Hurts has. And even Hurts, he might not even know the playbook because it's a new coaching system. So I don't know. Why are you trying to make the most important position in football the most uncomfortable on your team? Like, it seems like everyone else has their job. Like Jason Peters, he's a great tackle, but he knows that when he's in, he's gonna be playing. Why can't you do that with the quarterback? Like, give him some kind of confidence, build him up a little bit. It's just, it's a competition. Well, coach, you're in competition for your job too, even though you just got hired. Like, you got to make the right moves, but start by building up a young QB. Yep.
What do you got, Imran?
The last point Nick mentioned is what I want to start off with. Like, who the fuck is Nick Sirianni? like seriously, like, let's be real for a second. If Hurts can't be the quarterback week 1, why the hell should he be the coach? Like, this guy's a freaking bozo. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if you saw his opening press conference, he was clearly
awesome.
clearly unqualified. And I'm completely buying he's the starter. I mean, if they wanted to actually sell this, they should have stayed at pick 6. Trading out of pick 6 to pick 12, they have no shot at getting a quarterback, right? There's no way a quarterback falls to 12, barring anything unforeseen. So who else is going to be the quarterback, right? Like, it's like I buy it. I mean, but this guy is just
I mean, really, you're saying you're getting rid of Wentz and you're going to start Flacco over him.
Yeah.
So you're saying Flacco's better than Wentz and Hurts? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I understand the Wentz move for cap space. You can't have them both. And if you're going to tear up the team and reconstruct it, I understand that. But you can't bring in Flacco and say he's going to be the starter realistically. It's ridiculous.
What about a guy like Teddy Bridgewater? If you're the Eagles, would you go out and get a Teddy Bridge?
Should have done that a while ago.
I wouldn't.
I prefer it over Flacco.
I wouldn't. I like Hurts' upside. I think we kind of know what Bridgewater is.
Well, I'm buying that he's going to be the week 1 starter. I don't know what all this nonsense is about. I agree. It's all the same takes on Nick Sirianni. The dude's a clown. The whole rock, paper, scissors thing like threw me for a whirlwind. I don't know what that was all about. I want to see your
walked away.
I want to see your competitive level. I want to see how you compete. Like, well, bro, you want to see me compete? Get out the Monopoly board, okay? You want to really get into this? Like, get out Monopoly. We'll dive in, all right? Like, we'll get into it. You prefer Top Hat? I got you. You like your second 500 and 100s? I got you. All right, let's move on. We got Chris Carson and Rashad Penny news. Chris Carson said him and Rashad Penny could be a top rushing duo in the NFL. Buy or sell Chris Carson and Rashad Penny being a top rushing duo in 2021. Go with Rob first. Keep going around the horn.
Okay. I think it's all. I can buy it if they stay healthy. But can they stay healthy? That's the question. So I think I'm going to sell it because one of them's going to end up hurt. So I don't know that they can do it. Theoretically, yes, but I was just going around the league and thinking of other duos, and they compare pretty well to everyone. But I think their health just won't hold up. So I'm selling.
What do you think, Nick?
I'm selling. This statement is like 3 years too late. Like I thought this, a while ago when Penny came in because I was like, oh man, like Penny did really well at San Diego State. This is a great system. It's meant for a running back. It will take the pressure off of Russ Wilson. And no, Russ Wilson has become Russ Unlimited, and he has been forced to carry the team on his back. And he has Tyler Lockett and DJ Metcalf, and he's got like a random tight end every game.
DK.
Yeah, I'm selling. Carson, he can be good. Penny, both can be good, but there's no like thing to back it up. Like to tell me the last 3 years, why haven't you guys taken hold of it at that point? Like, all right, like non-starter for me. So sell.
What do you got, Imran?
They're both injured. I mean, I'll buy it for the 2 games they're both healthy together. But they're just never healthy. And like the Penny pick, I won't go off on a tangent, but I never understood that pick because I mean Carson was coming off a 1,000-yard year, and that O-line has been an issue the last decade. And it's just, I mean, I think they're both talented, but they're both just injury prone. Not just Penny, Carson as well. Like I gotta sell it.
Yeah, I got to sell as well. I mean, they drafted DJ Dallas last year. Like, I mean, what are you talking? What about DJ? What's he going to be doing? Like, you know what I mean? And when you think of, Chris Carson and Rashad Penny, you don't think of Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. You don't think of Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara. Those are top NFL rushing duos. When I think of top NFL rushing duo, I think of that both running backs have upside to be in either the top 10 or top 15 at the running back position. This is not that situation. So Chris Carson, let's bring it down. Let's bring it down a level. I like the enthusiasm. I appreciate that, but it's not going to happen. In what world? Come on now.
More like bottom 15.
Chris Carson, I think if he got it like 14, 12, I think he'd be pretty happy. Next up, Adrian Peterson said in an interview that he wants to play for a contender in 2021. A buy or sell, Adrian Peterson is a Kansas City Chief by week 1. Go with
this.
Drop.
This is a big sell for me. I mean, they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Darrell Williams. Their big problem with the Chiefs right now is they're focusing on offensive line, as they just traded for. We all saw, right? So why would you try to bring in another running back when you don't have a line? They need to spend every penny they have on that offensive line. That's the reason they lost Super Bowl. And I just don't see it happening. And he has a lot of miles on him. He may still be productive. He'll probably have good yardage in Detroit, but I just don't see it happening.
All right. What do you got, Nick?
The way we're talking about this, it's almost like the NBA now. Like, oh man, who's going to the super teams?
Right.
Like who's riding on Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady? Like, it's almost like we're picking sides.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm gonna say sell because honestly, like Rob said, it's really congested back there in the backfield. If he did go there, he would literally just be like a coach almost. So why don't you just retire and become a coach and you'll have the same ring as you did as a player? I'm going to sell. So I think he wants to be a number 1 somewhere. He still thinks he's number 1. He's just that type of person. And you saw how, like, when he went to the Saints, he, like, freaked out that he wasn't playing. I don't see him being able to last in Kansas City 16 games with not even touching the ball.
17 now. 17 now.
Oh, 17. Gosh.
What do you got, Imran?
Here we go.
I'm going to sell it. As of now, I'm going to sell it. I don't see why the Chiefs would need him. They've been focusing on their line, which they've completely overhauled. I think he's going to be on an NFL team this year, though. He'll find a role, even if it's short yardage back, just getting touchdowns. He's not going to be a bell cow, anymore. But I can't find a fit for him yet, especially like with the draft still coming up.
Sure. I'm buying because I'm done with all of us agreeing on everything. So I'm gonna go oppo here. I'm gonna say that the Chiefs bring him on. Maybe it's not by week 1, but I'm gonna say that they do. They just lost Damian Williams. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he looked okay last year, but realistically, it was a big dive after that week 1 against Houston, the production wise, right? So I feel like, like Nick alluded to, like, oh yeah, he'd be a good coach. Well, he'd be a good mentor for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who didn't really show a ton of talent, coming up the middle, being able to, go through the tackles, break through that offensive line. Obviously, it should be better this year with the addition of Orlando Brown. Doesn't sound like they're done yet either, adding at offensive line. But at the same time, we kind of saw that formula for the Bucs last year. They were just constantly rotating guys in and out. Let's just keep a fresh pair of legs on the field. And I feel like the woes of Darrell Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire props up a fair amount of upside to sign a guy like Adrian Peterson to specifically use on goal line touches and in the red zone and to get him that ship. I just feel like he is going to come to that realization that he is not that number 1 guy. I know where you're coming from, Nick, with that. Like, I remember when he was just like, hey, I showed up here in New Orleans thinking I was going to get 15, 20 touches a game. They ain't here. Where are they at? And he was gone pretty quick. I think they actually traded him before the deadline. Or they cut him or something.
Cardinals, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, at that point at this point, I should say, in his career, I just feel like he's ready for the ring, So maybe it's not the Chiefs, but give me another contender. I mean, Tampa Bay, it may not even be done. We'll see. I don't know. All right, let's move on. Let's see. We got the Panthers having some conversations about moving back in the draft. So buy or sell the Panthers moving out of the 8th spot. We'll go with Rob.
I've been going back and forth on this one too. But I think I'm selling this. And the reason why is I think one of the quarterbacks is going to slip. And I know they got Sam Darnold, but I don't know that they're in love with Sam Darnold. I think if they could get I think if they can get Justin Fields or Trey Lance, they may pull the trigger. If those two guys aren't there, then they'll try to trade back. The other one is Pitts. They would take Pitts in a second if he's there, but he's going to be gone. So I think if any of those three players are there, they'll take them.
Okay.
And one of them should be there. One of them should be there by 8. So I don't think they trade back.
All right. What do you got, Nick?
I think they do trade back. I'm going to be buying it. I don't see quarterbacks being like one of the main quarterbacks. I don't see them falling because I think there's going to be a run on them. I think that there are going to be some teams that are going to be freaking out or trying to move up to try and get that quarterback that they want. And, you know, it is possible that they could fall back to the Panthers, but I think the Panthers are going to move back out of that if someone gives them an offer they can't refuse. It would be kind of messed up to trade for Sam Darnold and then be like, oh, no, we're going to draft this guy. So now you got Teddy, Sam, and the draft pick, and you're like, you got a riches of quarterbacks that honestly you don't know what to do with. So I don't think that they're going to go that route. So I'm going to say buy, and they're going to move down.
All right. What do you got, Imran?
So if the draft shakes out like I did in my mock, I would sell it because I have them taking Penei Sewell if he falls down that low, just because of run on quarterbacks. And I think they're trying to drum up interest and have him trade down, like, oh, we might take a quarterback, but they're not going to take a quarterback, in my opinion. You traded those picks for Sam Darnold, and you guarantee his fifth-year option, so he's going to make 20-some-odd mil from you next year. So I don't see them doing that. But I think they're going to try to trade down. But I think if Sewell or, you know, another elite prospect drops in their lap, I think they'll take him. Otherwise, they'll try to kind of retool. Because this team, you know, they do need some more pieces, because last year they were very competitive. I think they had 8 games last year that were decided by 1 score or less. They lost them all. So it's not like they're like – it's hard to say like they're a good, bad team, right? But, like, they're very competitive. So there's just a few plays where they could have easily been a playoff team had they turned some games around.
Okay. I'm going to sell it. I think they keep the pick because I also think that there's some upside on defense too. Like, let's say all those guys are gone. I mean, would you take, well, you know, assuming like the quarterbacks and Sewell, maybe even like Jamar Chase was gone, would you take, you know, a Surtain or a JC Horn at that spot?
Absolutely.
Micah Parsons, maybe. I mean, you know, Luke Kuechly, there's a big hole there to fill.
That's some big shoes to fill, like you just said. I could definitely see them going defense. You know, a corner would be great. That would really put a wrench in the Dallas Cowboys plans. But I think if a corner is picked by Carolina, Kyle Pitts is nowhere to be found for Dallas. So Dallas might be, you know, caught holding the bag, basically being like, I don't know who to pick, and just pick a random guy. So that might really throw some wrenches in the plans.
Yeah. I think Dallas would probably still just take the whatever other corner was left if it was Horn or Surtain. Yeah, JC Horn. All right, cool. Let's move on. Next up, we got Antonio Brown. You know, getting clear of some legal troubles, but he's also been, you know, kind of back and forth with the Bucs this offseason about, you know, what he could potentially make if he's going to come back, etc. So buy or sell Antonio Brown is a Buccaneer in 2021. Start with you, Rob.
I'm going to buy it.
Okay.
And I'm solely buying it for 2 reasons. One, he needs to still prove that he can stay out of trouble. And he did that with Brady. But if you move him to another team, I don't know that other teams are willing to take that risk on him yet. That's one reason. Second reason is he's been tweeting out, we're going to get this thing done. In his mind, he feels like he's coming back. That's the local notes here is, you know, it's not, I don't think it's so much about money this year because he knows that his value is not high. So he needs to prove that he can come back. And what better way to have a good year than be on a team that's going to contend for the Super Bowl? So I'm buying it.
All right. Agreed. What do you got, Nick?
I'm going to say buy. I feel like a lot of people in Baltimore have like smoke screens that he's coming to Baltimore. I just don't see that happening. Like, he's not that mentor type. He needs to be mentored himself, and he's like 34.
Good point.
It's just straight up truth, you know. Like Tom did very well with him. He was very quiet during the season. You know, he provided a little bit of competitiveness when he came in. I think that Tampa is the best spot for him, and I think that if he has a heart set on it, they don't really need to pony up too much money. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to break the bank, and especially with his production and off-field issues. You know, for the last few years has really hindered his on-field production. So I think he's going to get another prove-it deal and see how it goes.
All right. What do you got, Imran?
Yeah, I think he needs another year of rehabbing his image. I think he only had 6 games, the Bucks in the regular season, last year in the playoffs. So I think if he does that again, he can set himself up for a payday next year. But right now, like the guys mentioned, I don't know anybody else that would take a chance on him, because if there were somebody else that would take a chance on him, it would have already happened.
Yeah, I agree in that. And I wrote an article a while back about, wide receivers on the move. And I had him landing in Green Bay because I felt like that would be a nice transition from, one championship quarterback to another championship quarterback, right? So I felt like that would be a good fit. But it doesn't seem like the Packers or other teams seem that interested. I agree. I feel like we would have gotten something or a little bit more by now. The only upside I could see him playing for another team other than Tampa is teams are just waiting until after the draft just to see what they get, and then they can make their moves from there. Maybe they didn't land the receiver that they wanted to, or really got the additional depth at receiver that they wanted. So now they're willing to take that risk because they brought some more upside to another position or another level of their offense or defense, right? So I guess I'll kind of continue this. We'll buy or sell. Does Antonio Brown live in his own home or studio apartment, whatever, this year? Does he have to live with his quarterback again on any team?
No, he has his own place. I buy him buying a place.
You buy him buying a place. Rob, Nick, what do you guys got?
If he's in Tampa, Tom's taking him in.
He's in the guest house. That's the furthest he's moving away.
Yeah, exactly. The pool house for sure.
The guest house. That's awesome. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's like, maybe he could go stay with, Aaron. He's single again, or I don't know who he's actually dating anymore.
I thought he got engaged.
Did he again?
Yeah,
last I remember was
Danica. Out of the
Danica.
blue, he's engaged again. So.
Oh, okay. Well, keeps it
Ask
very
his
close.
family what's going on.
I'm sure they're very good sources of information on his whereabouts and his daily activity. All right, last one here of buy and sell. We've got Wayne Gallman getting signed by the 49ers. Buy or sell his fantasy relevance in 2021?
Buy.
Start with Rob. Go ahead.
I'm going to buy because I think the 49ers traditionally have kind of had a running back by committee, and they try to run the ball a lot. And I think it also depends on who actually ends up being their quarterback.
Right.
So, are they going to roll with Jimmy G this year? Are they going to Mac Jones? Is it going to be Justin Fields? Whoever it is, I think they're still going to run the ball a lot. So I think he can have some good value.
All right. What do you got, Nick?
Any running back that goes underneath Kyle Shanahan, I'm buying. It might be a stash, for a little bit, but the injury bug really hit the running back position hard, but every single running back that was in was fantasy relevant. It's just a Shanahan zone blocking system. It works magic for just undrafted free agent running backs to get 100 yards rushing. So anybody in the 49ers backfield, I'm buying.
Imran?
And personally, I would buy it only if there's an injury. There's so many amounts of feedback there, right? And Raheem Mostert, as electric as he is, he has a problem staying healthy. So like Nick mentioned, pretty much they had 5 different starting running backs last year. All of them were eating when they got to play. So if he gets to play, absolutely, I'd buy it. But it's got to probably be injury, and it just depends on his opportunities.
Yeah, I'm going to actually sell. I'm going to say that he's not, just because all of those names you mentioned and some that we didn't already. So Mostert, Jeff Wilson, who actually does get a fair amount of work when he gets volume. Then obviously you add Wayne Gallman and JaMychal Hasty, who is a nice little surprise, week to week value, when he was getting the touches. But I feel like Shanahan's going to get a lot out of all of these guys, and you're just going to be picking and choosing which weeks to actually start him. So I feel like Gallman will be a landmine in potential redraft leagues, in my opinion.
Okay.
All right, so that wraps up the buy or sell. If you guys already haven't, be sure to smash the like button, share the video, and follow us on YouTube, /Take It to the Hizzy. Let's jump into Imran's final mock draft here. Going to get it pulled up. Starting out, obviously we have, Trevor Lawrence still going first, so we're just going to bypass that. Zach Wilson to the Jets. Are we all in agreement of this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Imran, of course, you wrote it, duh. But I think the questions start here. The questions start here at 3. So Mac Jones, Justin Fields, those have been the 2 big names at 3 here. I think we can all agree that no one else is going there. I don't think Kyle Pitts is sneaking into the conversation. I don't think Penny Sewell is sneaking into the conversation. So where's everybody at here? Fields, Mac Jones. We'll start with you, Rob.
I keep going back and forth because everything you read is everywhere. They like everybody, including Trey Lance. They're like, they have their arms around each other, smiling, drinking a Coke. What does that mean? And so I think everybody's trying to throw some mischief in here and throw everybody off. I don't see Mac Jones going here. I think we know his ceiling. You're going to get a good quarterback. I think a decent quarterback that can go in and manage the game in this, but you already have that there. So I think they're going to go with Justin Fields.
All right, what you got, Nick?
I'm going to say Justin Fields. Mac Jones is a literal smokescreen. He is just a guy, I feel like, that benefited of a lot of playmakers around. We've been seeing recently about how Alabama quarterbacks just aren't succeeding in the NFL because they just don't have the support around them like Alabama sets them up to. And I think that, they're trying to confuse people just like how they were confused about Solomon Thomas a couple years ago, but they're going to correct that mistake and take Fields at 3, I feel.
All right. Imran, you're in agreement because you wrote it, but anything to put the cherry on top there for Fields?
Yeah, I just think this pick is really, and a report came out earlier today that they've settled on their quarterback, right? That they're going to take it 3. So I'm sure it'll leak in the next couple of days. But I really think this pick is between Lance and Fields. They traded 3 total first-round picks and other picks to get to the spot. I don't feel like you get that from Mac Jones because I think, like Rob mentioned, he's too similar to what you already have in Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, he can be good. He's okay. Like, but you don't trade 3 first-round picks for that. Like, Fields is very accomplished in college, and Trey Lance has a lot of upside. And, the thing with Jimmy Garoppolo is he has a no-trade clause this year, but not for next year. So they could take Trey Lance, let him sit and learn this year, and then give him the reins next year and send Garoppolo back to New England.
That would be interesting. So if they take Lance, how far would Fields fall then? Does Fields automatically go to Atlanta, or does he actually fall potentially to, like Rob was mentioning, potentially 8, 9?
I think he's going to get snatched up at 4. I think the first 4 picks are going to be quarterback. Now, who's picking the quarterback at 4? I don't know. It just comes down to Atlanta on how far they're willing to move back. Because the reports are that Washington and Chicago are aggressively trying to move back. But for this year, right, they don't want to go pick at 19. They don't want to pick at 20, right? But if you think about the bigger picture, if you think that a team like Chicago is just, nosediving, and you're going to pick at 20 next year, but you might have a top 5 pick the next 2 years, that's something to take into account. But also, Atlanta thinks they're close to competing, right? So they may say, we're probably not going to pick in the top 5 again. Let's just take a quarterback now. We'll have him sit behind Matt Ryan for 2-3 years, whatever the number is, and then when Matt Ryan retires, you can just plug him in. So I think he's going to be gone by 4.
Okay, fair enough. Do you think anyone? This goes up to anyone. Could Atlanta take Kyle Pitts at 4 if they're not? If they really want to compete now, could you put Kyle Pitts into that slot? Just give Matt Ryan another weapon and hope for the best. We'll start with you, Rob.
I hope not. I don't want him to go there, but I think they very well could. I think Pitts is one of the can't miss guys in this draft in a way. I think he's going to be very productive for a long time. Maybe not his rookie year, but once he gets going, he's going to be very, very good. I don't know. I think they still need defense. So maybe trading down and getting more picks may help them. And maybe they can get something in that like 15 to 18 range, something like that. So I don't know. I just, with them restructuring Matt Ryan's deal, I don't see them taking a quarterback because I think they're going to ride with him for a couple more years because he's still good. They weren't losing because of Matt Ryan. They were losing for other reasons. So
I had Matt Ryan in fantasy. I didn't think he was very good. I got rid of him.
There's fantasy and there's real life. There's fantasy
I know,
life, right? I mean, in real life, they were losing the games because of onside kicks that they weren't recovering and the defense melting down. He would have them with leads in the fourth quarter. So he was kind of doing what he needs to do. And do you really want to start brand new again? I don't know.
Sure.
I think they've kind of tilted their cards that they don't want to. That's the reason I say they won't take a quarterback. But they definitely want to trade down.
Okay. What do you think, Nick? Could they snag Pitts at that 4 spot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Rob said, I think that they have shown their hand that they're not going to rebuild in that sense right now. They're going to try and give a couple more years. But Kyle Pitts, he would be an electric addition. I mean, he would basically be a third wide receiver, a lot better than Mohamed Sanu. I don't even know who was it. Crap! What was that guy last year that was tearing up? Oh yeah,
Justin Gage and
I was blanking for a second too.
Yeah, he'd be way better than those guys. So I think that would be a great step in in the future for them, while also giving them another year to ride out Matt Ryan, see if they actually, want to keep Julio Jones for, an extended period of time. I don't see them picking up a quarterback this year, but maybe next year.
All right, sounds good. Let's move on to the 5th pick. Very polarizing pick here. A lot of different takes. Imran's got Jamar Chase going to the Bengals. A lot of us have Sewell. We'll start with you, Rob. What do you think here? Should they invest in protecting their asset, or should they give them more upside to have more success?
I think protection, because if he's not upright, it doesn't matter who he's going to. And if he gets hurt again, your franchise is done for years. So, they're going to start all over again. So I'm always a guy of thought of protect your quarterback. And especially this year, I think there are a ton of wide receivers in this draft. So they can pick up other guys later to get him more weapons.
What do you got, Nick?
So if they do pick Jamar Chase, what they are saying to their fan base is, I know Joe Burrow blew out his knee last year, but he's got one more knee to go. So we're gonna take the wide receiver. If they don't take like a lineman to protect him, what are they doing? Like, you're literally gonna have to do screens and swing passes all day, because the protection last year was awful. And I understand building up, the younger guys. Like, they got Jonah Williams. I think they picked up another young guy. I wasn't impressed with them last year, and especially losing Joe Burrow, who is supposed to be your franchise. You got to protect him before you start giving him more weapons. His weapons right now are good enough for a second year. Go next year for more weapons, or deeper in the draft, because Rob's right. The wide receiver position is deep this year.
So, Imran, we'll let you stand your ground a little bit here, because I know exactly where you're going with this. There's depth at O-line too, right? So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way people talk about, taking Jamar Chase is that Penei Sewell is the only tackle in the draft. And if you don't take Penei Sewell, that means you're not taking any offensive linemen. So that's what the part that I don't get is that the O-line position as a whole, there's going to be – this is the first time in a very long time where you're going to have, probably day one starters going round 2 as well. And the Bengals, they picked very high in round 2. So it's not saying that we're ignoring offensive line, because they didn't. They signed Quentin Spain in the middle of last year. They signed Ryan Reed in the offseason. Not game breakers by any means, but they're shoring up that line. I'm not saying you can't take an O-lineman in the top of the second, or trade back up into the first round and get another one. You get somebody like Tevin Jenkins. If he falls a little bit, you get a Mauler like that on the O-line. I like that combo a lot. And Jamar Chase, a lot of people have him as the best prospect in this draft that's not a quarterback. And we saw what those two can do together. So I think it's pretty rare when you see, like, Joe Burrow absolutely tore up college football in 2019 with Jamar Chase. So it's not like you've seen what they can do. And I think in that division too, that division had 3 teams in the playoffs. They got to compete with that division.
I'm gonna give my point of view like this. If I worked for the Bengals, if I was in the war room and someone looks at me and says, "Hey, Bruni, like, what do we do here? Like, Sewell or Chase? Like, what's your opinion?" I'd be like, "Sewell, please." That would be my pick if I was in the building. But if I'm the coach and you have like that opportunity, kind of like that taste in your mouth of like, man, we can win now. Like, we can go chase some more W's this year. I feel like you go and grab Chase. And I feel like that is what the Bengals will do. Now, would I do it? I don't have the cojones. I saw what happened to Burrow, and I saw him also running for his life quite a bit. All the scrambles that he was doing. I don't want that to continue after this surgery. I want him to become that pocket quarterback, right? Yeah, having that upside to roll out and get out of a disaster or get out of danger, that's good. But let's reserve those opportunities for that. For getting to the ground and protecting the knee and protecting the future, not of only of your career, but of the team, because we saw what happened. I was banging the Bengals drum the first half of the year because they were covering every damn game. Good teams win, but great teams cover. Let's go Bengals, right? You heard me say it all last year. So I want to see them have success. Now, I do believe that Jamar Chase is the best receiver in this draft. Best non-quarterback. I think that's still up for debate. So, and obviously they have that connection there. So I see the upside for it. I feel like it's a very polarizing topic. I could go either way with it, but for me, the safe play is Sewell, because at the end of the night, I'll sleep better. But the upside from Chase is just so hard to deny, and I feel like the Bengals, that's what their pick will be. It's going to be Chase, because they're not going to be able to just kind of have that discipline to just stay away from him. Because I feel like they still could find, like you mentioned, Imran, they could move up and take another lineman. Well, what about moving up for another receiver? Maybe like a Rashad Bateman at the end of the first or something like that. Because I still love Tyler Boyd. I still love T. Higgins. Go ahead.
So the other thing I was going to say that I could see happening too is there's going to be another LSU receiver that's going to go in the first round. So the other thing I could see them doing too is taking Penei Sewell at 5 and maybe trading back up to the end of the first round and grabbing Terrence Marshall.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that too. I mean, so really it could go either way. To your alluding to Chase being, the best non-quarterback draft prospect, I think that's going to leverage the upside for them to take Jamar Chase. So I think that will be the pick. But for me personally, I would take Sewell as well. So I would have to be buying him and selling Chase. So
if they take Chase, then Zach Taylor is auditioning for his job, because if you can't have success by taking Jamar Chase, then you aren't an offensive coach. So you know what? If you go ahead, take Chase, and you're going to be sitting on the hot seat all year long.
Anything to wrap that one up? Yeah, I was going to say.
What I would like to hear is, what would Joe Burrow want?
Exactly.
That would be interesting to hear what he actually would want. Would he want the offensive lineman to protect him because he just got hurt, or does he want another weapon?
I don't think he'll ever comment on that.
No. He'll never comment. It'd be interesting. And
it would be.
I have a feeling that these elite quarterbacks think that they can make the receiver too if they have time. So
that's true.
If you protect a guy and give him more time, he can elevate certain type of guys. So I don't know.
Look, Patrick Mahomes, when he was protected, made McCole Hardman look like Tyreek Hill light. That's all I'm going to say. Like, protection gives you the ability to use your talents to make everyone else better. If you're going to get a wide receiver, you're depending on your line to give you enough time. And those 3 seconds come really fast. And Joe Burrow saw it last year. Don't fall into those number one quarterbacks that, want weapons, but they're getting beat up constantly. Russell Wilson, I'm surprised he hasn't broken yet, but like David Carr, he's a perfect example. He did not ever have a line, and he took the most damage out of any quarterback in NFL history, and he lasted 5 years. So try and think smart about your future, because if you take Penei Sewell, you'll last 15, but if you take Jamar Chase, there's a chance that you only last 5.
So why is it lasting 5 though? Because we're not. Who's saying they can't take a tackle in round 2 or 3? Why can't the line be addressed in the late? That's the part I don't get, is that it's like either or. So you take Chase, that means you can't touch offensive line the rest of the draft. Why can't it be both?
Because I'd rather, as Joe Burrow being number one, I'd rather his talents make everyone else better. Rashad Bateman at the end of the first round, that's perfect. Terrence Marshall, end of the first round, that's perfect. But he's got to be able to have the time to do number one overall talent. So that's the way I see it. I was an offensive lineman, man. I didn't let my quarterback get sacked all year, and he went D2. So I know how important protection is, and we saw it in the Super Bowl. No matter who you have on the outside, you can have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
There were some playmakers on the outside on the Bucs too, though.
I completely understand, but their line was actually good enough to be able to give Tom Brady the time to make the progressions, and he diced them up. And Patrick Mahomes, he has an electric arm. He can flick of the wrist and throw 80 yards. But because he didn't have the time, he couldn't hit his guys that were actually good. So that's what I saw in the NFL today. That's my opinion.
And the Bengals have to face the Browns twice, right? With that D line that the Browns have. So, I mean, you better invest and protect your quarterback, because hopefully he's around for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Will wide receiver be around that long or not? You don't know.
And TJ Watt's not going anywhere either. So I see that upside, but I could see it going either way. I really can. And I could also see us all just being wrong. It could be Kyle Pitts. It's like the Bengals just throw 180. You're all wrong. We took Pitts. You guys all thought Sewell and Chase. Gotcha.
That would be a great pick too.
Wouldn't hate it. All right, so we really dug in there, and I really feel like that 4th and 5th pick, that's where the draft is really going to start here. I feel like those first 3 picks are all but set, so that's a really good, interesting spot to start throwing picks off the shelf and really get creative. Next up, we had Kyle Pitts going to Miami. Are we all in agreement to that? Is Miami have like a spectacular need? Is it just Pitts or Chase going one way at 6? Just take the best player? I don't see him taking a quarterback. Go ahead, Rob.
I think they take Pitts because they're following the Patriot model. They want those 2 dominant tight ends like they did with Hernandez and Gronk way back. And so I think they're trying to give those safety valves to Tua to help him out some. So I think they go tight end if he's there.
What you got, Nick?
I see Kyle Pitts way more likely than like Jamar Chase or whatever top wide receiver or Devonta Smith. I see Kyle Pitts more because Tua isn't like a guy that makes his team better. He needs his team to make him better. That's just what I saw from last year. I saw a lot of Miami fans touting Tua as the next savior. And I just wasn't impressed because I had the wide receivers in fantasy and I was begging for them to make some plays. It wasn't until Fitz that came in and being the closer, that's not a good look. I mean, we haven't seen that for probably any quarterbacks of having a closer in their rookie year. That's not a winning model. So I think Kyle Pitts would definitely make Tua better and allow Tua to have those safety valves because he's just not a downfield guy, it seems.
Yep. Imran, I mean, you put Pitts there. So do you have any upside for any other players, or are you just absolute Pitts or Chase at 6?
It's going to be Pitts or Chase. They moved up to back up to 6 because they wanted to make sure they got one of them because it's almost a guarantee the first 4 are going to be all quarterbacks. I think with Kyle Pitts, the big thing to remember too, he's not just a tight end. This is a tight end probably closer in the mold of Travis Kelce, where he's a matchup. You can move all over the place. And they also signed Will Fuller in the offseason. So all of a sudden now, Devontae Parker, Kyle Pitts, Mike Gesicki, Will Fuller, that's a lot of weapons. That should really help out too.
It does.
Nick just mentioned for Zach Taylor, if they load up, no excuses. He's surrounded by a lot of talent. And then last year after they drafted him, they invested heavily in the O-line early in the draft. They have they still have a second pick in the first round too. I believe it's pick 18 that they have. So they can still get, still beef up the offense more. But I think taking Pitts it's great value at 6, and I think that's really going to help that offense out.
That offense is going to be wild either way if they get Pitts or Chase. All that talent that you just mentioned. Still have Preston Williams there. They signed Malcolm Brown. Not a great signing. I'm more hyped up about second year Salvon Ahmed potentially, but I mean any one of those guys that they draft, I mean they're going to add a ton of fire to that offense. So I'm excited either way. I'll take either one. Could we see them even move out of the 6th spot, or could we see them take defense? Either what do you think would be more likely? Either move out of the spot or take a defensive player.
So the only way I see them moving out is if for whatever reason Pitts and Chase are both off the board.
Okay.
That way, unless they really like Smith or Waddle at that point, I think that point if they both go off. Because I think the defensive talent draft, taking them at 6 is a bit of a reach. So that's where they can stack up on another pick, a QB needing team can take that 4th or 5th QB. But yeah, if they're both gone, I would probably trade down. I don't think because I think the defensive player you're taking at 6, you could probably take a 9, 10, or 11 too.
I think it's possible that they could actually take a defensive player. I understand about reaching, but at that point, you got to kind of look at it and see the defensive players available and realize that if you move too far back, you might not get them because Dallas is looking for a defensive guy. Wouldn't you want to match up Surtain? I mean, Surtain played for the Dolphins, So wouldn't you want to get his son to match up across Xavier Howard? That would be some shutdown defense and allow the offense to kind of mature, not have to carry them on their back, but be able to not have to make mistakes to win the game because they can depend on their defense. I think defense is a winning formula to a championship run, and I think Miami, if Tua gets it together, could make a serious run because they are loaded.
What do you think, Rob? Defensive player or move back if those 2 guys are gone?
I think if those 2 guys are gone, they trade back and get defense probably.
Okay.
I mean, that's the only way they get defense, I think, because there will be other people that want to move up and they can get more picks because their defense really wasn't that bad last year. So, I think if their offense were better, that makes the defense better, if that makes sense, because they don't turn the ball over. They get good field position. They help the defense some. So.
All right, right on. Well, let's move on here. We're getting kind of caught up here in the top 5. Let's just go through some big hitters here. Where do you guys have Mac Jones landing? We all agreed that we're going to have Fields going at 3. So where do we believe that Mac Jones will fall? Who selects this guy? We'll start with you, Rob.
I don't know. I don't like Mac Jones, to be honest. I don't like him at all. We talked about this with talking about Tua. I think part of the problem is he has skills. But being in a system like Alabama, he has the best coaches, the best supporting players, the best line. He's kind of maxed out, in my opinion, and that's what happens with Alabama quarterbacks. It's kind of the same thing with any of these quarterbacks from big-time brands that have the best players. Are they really kind of overvalued because they have so much help with them, and then when they get to the NFL and they have the same talent, That's Josh Allen. Josh Allen didn't have the talent in college, and now everybody's like, wow, look at him blossoming. Well, yeah, he gets Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis. I mean, come on. He has weapons for the first time in his life.
Cole Beasley was a nice safety valve too.
Yeah. So I really don't have I wouldn't even pick Mac Jones, to be honest, if I were a team. I would just keep passing because I don't like him. And he's had off the field troubles too. So, and he hasn't really played that much. There's a lot of things, and no one really talks negative about him, but I just don't like him. I don't know where he would end up. He'll end up somewhere, but I wouldn't pick him in the first round.
All right. What do you think, Nick?
I wouldn't pick him in the first round, but I feel like it's either him or Trask that's going to get picked up by Bill in New England. He's going to try and grab a young quarterback, try and groom him. If you can exist under Saban and win a championship, I think you can exist under Belichick. And I think he might pick him up in like the second or third round. But, there is a possible team to pick him up, but I just don't see him being picked up in the first round. Like, he's like that name that you're just like expecting to go in the first round because there's so much media hype and talk, but he ends up being like, Aaron Rodgers in the green room waiting to be picked, but it ends up being like second or third day, So
sure.
It's absolutely possible with him.
I got you. All right. So Imran, you got him going to the Denver Broncos at 9. Let's hear it. Rip it and rip it.
Yeah, I think if he falls, I think he's going to fall a little bit to the bottom of the top 10. I don't think he's going to make it out of the top 10. I could see New England trading up. There's some rumors about the Washington football team and the Bears maybe trading up. I don't want my Bears to trade up. They're closer to rebuilding than they are competing. Mortgaging fix for him, not my thing. But I think for Denver, I think it makes sense because Denver originally a big need for them was corner, but they completely overhauled that position in free agency. They got Kyle Fuller, Ronald Darby. That is a really sneaky team. If they just had a quarterback, they have a lot of weapons on offense. Their defense got better. Like they just need a quarterback that can bring it all together. Drew Lock, I had high hopes for him last year. He was injured, just never got going. But I really think Mac Jones, if he's sitting there and they don't want to accrue up multiple picks and trade out, I think taking him and making him compete with Lock makes a lot of sense because that team can compete. They have a lot of talent.
Okay. Well, so then I'll toss this back to Rob and Nick then. If Denver doesn't draft Mac Jones, would you be okay with them going after a Teddy Bridgewater? Because I do believe, or do you guys not believe there's any quarterback questions or issues with Drew Lock in Denver? We'll start with you, Rob.
I used to like Drew Lock a lot. I liked him in college, and I thought he had good promise. I don't know if he's just what's happened to him, but I agree with Imran. They're a very good team, kind of almost like before they got Peyton Manning. They had the defense, they had everything there. They're missing the quarterback. So the question is, do they wait and do they try to trade for someone else that maybe has more experience, like Jimmy G, or do they wait and try to get an Aaron Rodgers, or do they? What do they do in a year or two and just kind of keep going through it and piecemeal it until then? So I don't know. I don't like Jones, but I don't think he's any better than Drew Lock, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think, Nick? Would you go after Bridgewater if you don't take Jones?
I think Bridgewater would be a good pick. I just don't see for taking another top 10 for first round pick on a quarterback. I don't see the upside of Mac Jones over Drew Lock, almost interchangeable parts at this point. I see them giving one more year to Lock just to see what they got. I think John Elway stepped down from being GM and went up a position to vice president of football operations. So I don't think that the new guy coming in wants to make that splash right away because that was John's guy. Give him one more year, see what happens. If they fail this year, then they really should look at him because he was so streaky last year. I remember a couple games he had 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and then the next game he would have 2 and 2. It was just incredible. Or worse. And it was just if he just got it together. One other person I think is very important to watch next year. The development of Jerry Jeudy. He has some drops that I was kind of disappointed in, but he flashed a lot. And I think that if his hands get a little bit stronger, which is strange to say because I thought Jerry Jeudy has some very good hands. But in the NFL, it's a completely different ball than college. So I want to see his development as well, but they got to give Lock one more year.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's move on a little bit here. Do you guys have any questions for Imran for like the top 15, 18 picks or so here? Anything you want to take a stab at?
Let me see. I saw. So the Patriots at 15, you have them taking an edge, Kwity Paye from Michigan. Is edge the only position that you think that they would grab there? I think that's a little rich for Kwity Paye, considering that there are more talked about defensive players like Jalen Phillips, for example.
Yeah, I think Kwity Paye's versatility is what's going to intrigue them. I mean, if they stay at 15, I really think they're going to trade up. But the two players I would look at here are if Micah Parsons, if he somehow slips by, because the Giants, I had a Giants snatching him. But if they see, a wide receiver on the board and they can't help themselves, I think he would make sense. I think they just need to add a lot of youth to their defense overall. Last year, they had a lot of people sit out due to COVID. I think it was the most in the NFL. So that defense has been decent for a while, but they really haven't added a lot of youth. The other person I think that could be interesting that just goes a few picks behind them is Jeremiah Owusu-Koroma. I may have butchered that name for Notre Dame.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so he's a talented linebacker, very athletic, and it's kind of like the new age of linebackers in the NFL, right? Like your Devin Whites, your Roquan Smiths, your Bobby Wagner's, Fred Warner's, having that kind of new quarterback in the defense, that could be something also I could see them doing.
Okay. You got anything, Rob?
I'm just looking over it again.
All right, I'll throw one at you. You had, what is it, Kadarius Toney going 23? Is that to the New York Jets? Is that ahead? I'm looking here. Is that ahead of Bateman and Terrace?
Yep.
Okay, so talk that up a little bit. I mean, I see a lot of upside from Toney coming just from kind of fanfare. Like, for me, the tape on Bateman and Marshall, I think, is ahead of Toney. But is it just like the fit there? Is it like the Robert Saleh fit? Like maybe Deebo Samuel Light? Kind of talk that pick up a little bit.
Sure. I think you could go definitely with, Bateman here, maybe O-line again. And there's a few avenues you could go. But with the Jets the last couple of years, what's plagued them, and I think what was really the downfall of Sam Darnold, because I don't think he got a fair shake here, because they really didn't surround him with a lot of talent, like game breakers, right? Like, Jameis Crowder is a really good receiver, but he's a slot up and down guy. They don't have game breakers. I think with Toney, he can really, light it up from anywhere. He's a returner. He can play in the slot, play outside, put him in the backfield. I think those are the type of players they're going to need, especially having to take Zach Wilson. They got to give him some weapons, right? They don't want to repeat the same mistakes they did with Darnold. Give him weapons, give him someone to throw to and threaten the defense. I think they did sign Corey Davis in the offseason. At receiver, so they did improve it a little bit, but I think getting him a game breaker, I think that's what I would want. Having a guy that would take the top off of a defense and that you could kind of use as your chess piece. And Deebo Samuel is a really good example as well. I know Nick mentioned in our group chat, Percy Harvin. That's another good example of kind of like what you can do with him, how versatile he is on offense.
Absolutely. Where would you guys be putting like Toney, Bateman, Marshall? Like how would you kind of rank those three? Rob and Nick. We'll start with Rob.
I like Toney. I watched a lot of him. I watched a lot of Gators, and I think he has a lot of value also on special teams. So, he's one of those guys that can catch and move quickly. You get the ball to him in space. You can use him a lot of different ways. Some people have said if he's around for Jacksonville on the way around, that they'll take him because Urban Meyer will use him like forever, like all of his college teams. So I like him probably the most out of the three, just because of his quickness and big time playability.
What about you, Nick?
To be completely honest, Toney's so electric. Like I remember watching him at UF. I saw him come into UF, and I was kind of disappointed I didn't see him play all 4 years. He had some off the field issues and stuff, but I think he's extremely electric. I would hate to see him go to the Jets. I don't care if Trevor Lawrence is there, or Zach Wilson's there. Yeah. It's just it's really hard to play in that organization. I would love to see him go to Jacksonville. That is like the spot where I'm like, man, like he's gonna tear it up. And I feel that he provides so much upside, but he has the highest potential for bust also, because he has such like a Tavon Austin build to him and that Swiss Army knife. But if he goes to Jacksonville, I feel like Urban Meyer, like Rob mentioned, knows how to use that Swiss Army knife. Other teams like get like like a shiny new toy, like look at it. It's like, oh my gosh, we got to have him, and then they don't use him correctly. So I really want him to go somewhere that understands how to use a weapon like him because he's electric.
One thing I wanted to add. Oh, go ahead. Dennis.
I was just going to say, personally, I drafted him in Dynasty, so I prefer for him to go to Jets because just if he goes to Jacksonville, I still feel like he can get caught up behind. They added Marvin Jones. They still have LaVisca Chenault there, who is kind of also that Swiss Army knife as well. They use him on a lot of end-around reversals, even have given him handoffs at times. So I feel like he'd get caught up a little bit, trying to catch some more volume there. I really don't hate the Jet selection here at 23. Between Bateman, Marshall, and Tony, I'd actually put him in between the three. I put him right in the middle, and I put probably Bateman up top. I think Bateman has the opportunity to be one of the better receivers in this draft behind Jamar Chase. Go ahead, Imran.
The one thing I was going to add about the Jets offense, organization and using weapons, their new offensive coordinator is Mike LaFleur, brother of Matt LaFleur, and he was the quarterback's coach in San Francisco. So I think he's learned quite a bit from Kyle Shanahan, how to get the most out of your players, the way they've used Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle even. So I think that gives me a little bit of hope for him that it's not going to be like, Adam Gase and his shenanigans.
Look, all I'm going to say is I watched a lot of good coaches come through Washington and do a lot better elsewhere. So I feel like the Jets are kind of like in that same, stratosphere of just like, the coach is good, but there's a lot more issues than just on the field and like, owner pressure and stuff. So I don't know. It's scary when someone goes to like New York or Washington to me.
Well, I don't care. Adam Gase is going to be bad anywhere he went, so that just wasn't fair. But the fact that they selected him to be the coach, that's on you guys. But we all knew he was going to be bad. He did exactly everything that we said he would. Pass the ball, not run enough, not get his quarterback, the weapons he needed in the draft. Imran alluded to that earlier. So yeah, I'm really glad to see him gone. And I'm not even a Jets fan. Yeah. Rob, did you have any questions that kind of popped up in that space?
I did like your selection of Bateman to the Saints also. I think if he goes there, that's going to be great for the Saints. I mean, they already have a lot of weapons, but that'll be phenomenal.
Okay. Yeah. So from there, go ahead, Imran.
No, I was going to say, I think with them, they're really relying on Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill this year, whoever starts. So I think that made a lot of sense. He's a really good route runner, big target, right? It made a lot of sense. And I do wonder also, I mean, nothing's come out, but I mean, I wonder if they would want to keep Michael Thomas around. I mean, if they can get a lot of picks for him, if they embrace a rebuild, maybe get like, the Ravens, right? If they give up a couple of picks. So I won't get into that myself, but.
They could, because they have good wide receivers. They're good young wide receivers. Tre'Quan Smith really came on, and I watched him in college for 3 years. Dude is a beast. He can catch everything.
Thomas missed all of last year, basically.
He hasn't even scratched the surface of what he can do, to be honest. When he really blossoms and get more chances, they are dangerous. That's going to be very dangerous.
That would be really interesting if he went there. So let's kind of transition here. What teams do you guys feel have the most upside or most likelihood to chase a top 10 pick? I'm talking teams outside of the top 10. Who is the most likely, in your opinion, to aggressively move up and actually land the trade and get into the top 10 to move for whatever reason they want to grab? We'll start with you, Rob.
I think, the Patriots really should. They should really try hard because they need a quarterback. They're going to get a lot of players back that set out last year. So I think defensively they're going to be better. But I just don't know if they'll do that. They're one that I think will really try hard. The other one, I think really, I just have a feeling about the Patriots. They're going to try. I don't know if they'll get it done, but I think they're the one team that could.
Okay. Nick, you mentioned Washington.
Yeah, I was listening to Washington radio the other day, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, Ron Rivera's in charge, and this and that, and up until Dan Snyder gets off his yacht." And I feel like if something appears where Snyder wants, Snyder gets, and I feel like he's going to try and make a dumb move for like Mac Jones. Like if there's any team to pick Mac Jones, it'd be Washington. So I see them trying to make the move. Other than that, it would be the Patriots. I think Bill's got something up his sleeve. He's kind of pissed off about Tom winning the Super Bowl last year without him. So he's got something to prove this year, and I think he's going to try and make some moves to make it happen.
All right, Imran.
So I think the teams that are trying the hardest, from what I've been reading, it's been Washington and Chicago. They're really trying to get in the top 10 for a quarterback. They're both being met with the same resistance. No one wants to go all the way back down to 19 or 20. They pick right around each other. So I don't think they're going to be able to pull it off unless a team says, okay, yeah, we'll move back this year, but they may suck the next couple of years so he could have a top 5 pick. Patriots, I think it makes a lot of sense because I think Bill does want his young quarterback to groom. Jared Stidham's not it. The other team I think is a sneaky to watch is the Ravens. Not for a quarterback, but for a wide receiver. Now they have 2 first-round picks. So if they want to sneak in like the top 9, yeah, you're going back to 20s, but you're going to have like a 27th pick, and then you're going to also have the 31st pick. So now they have two picks in the first round. I mean, whether it's a trade for an established receiver or try to go in the first round, they have a lot of ammo now.
All right, yeah, I would like that a lot. I'd love to see them go up and get Jamar Chase. That'd be sweet. Would love seeing that. I mean, I don't know if Jamar Chase would love it. I think he would prefer, a Joe Burrow or a pocket quarterback, not Lamar Jackson. But that would be a really good show to see on the field. I guess I just got to go with my Bears and hope for the best. Right? We went shopping for Russ Wilson. We came home with Andy Dalton. I got to hope for more, right? I got to hope for something, whether it's moving up into the top 10 or, making a move for hell. I don't even care. Give me Minshew, give me Bridgewater, give me Garoppolo. I don't care. These aren't Ben DiNucci names. They're not those levels, but man,
Minshew's
Andy Dalton.
An interesting name to watch. I think he's going to get traded on draft night to somebody for like a 5th or a 6th round pick. So I think he's going to get traded as well.
Hey, Bears, we'll give you 2. Well, we'll give you 2. Jacksonville. I mean, I don't care. You can take Foles back too if you want. If you're that into it, I don't care. It's no big deal. No sweat off my back, right? So, all right. You guys have any other questions or takes for Imran? I think we're ready to move on here, unless you guys have anything else.
One thing I was just going to leave you guys with a couple of names just to keep in mind ahead of Thursday. One player is, the defensive tackle position hasn't been really talked about in this draft. It's very weak, but the one tackle I'm seeing, Christian Barrymore out of Alabama, he's a player that kind of fits the bill of being higher in the NFL eyes than he is in like the mock draft scouting world. And mock drafts, I've seen him as high as 10 to Dallas, and then usually he's in maybe the 20s or not even the first round. So that'd be a name to kind of poke out to you guys if you see him in the teens. Don't be surprised. On Thursday. And the other one that's going to be really interesting is Greg Rousseau from Miami, the defensive end. I had him going to the Colts in my mock, but he was a one-year wonder. And the year he sat out, his teammate Jalen Phillips wore his number and kind of stole his thunder as well. So those are some key names to keep in mind. And the last one, Caleb Farley, arguably the best man corner, but he sat out due to COVID this year. And then he recently had back surgery. His agent said he'll be ready for the ready for the season, but it'd be interesting to see if he falls at all.
All right, right on. All right, let's move on to the team previews here. If you haven't already, please be sure to like and share the video and follow us on YouTube, /Take It to the Hizzy. Next, we're going to jump into some team previews. Rob, you're familiar with both of these teams, and the Jags and the Bucks. So we're starting from the top of the order and the bottom of the order. So we're going to start with the Jags. Right off the get, Rob, what are your expectations for Trevor Lawrence here? He's all but been the first overall pick since the season ended, all but a lock here. What are your expectations from him in year one?
I think overall the Jags should have somewhat of a better year, but they're still their record's not going to show it. Their record will be better, but is Trevor Lawrence going to bring them to the playoffs? No, they're not there yet. They still have a lot of work to do, I think. I think Urban Meyer, when he first came in, he said he was concentrating on the offensive defensive line, that he needed to overhaul that. And they've tried to do that through free agency and re-signing players that were important. But I want to see from Trevor, I'd like to see him with some consistency. And I'd like to see, more importantly, from the Jags, better defense, obviously, because that was a lot of their problems. They were scoring points early in the year, even with Minshew. He was getting the ball out. He was getting into people. Then they had wide receiver issues. He had issues with being injured, and they just kind of fell off. And I think at that point they decided, we're just tanking. We're not even going to try to win, and we're going to get Trevor Lawrence. So I want to see just some consistency from Trevor Lawrence and develop and be able to read the play and have consistent play where they're in games, kind of like Herbert did this year. How they were pretty much in all their games, and they didn't always win them all. But you have a great feeling about him going forward. He's going to be your quarterback. He's the future. And when they continue to grow, they're going to be better. So that's what I look for him, because as I said earlier, I worry about these players, not Trevor so much, but these players from the big brands that have every great player on their team. I mean, there were games that we've watched with Clemson that they had to rely to hand the ball off to ATN, and he took over the game for them when they were losing and got them back in it. So that kind of scares me a little bit, but he has all the tools to be there to be a great quarterback. So can Urban develop him and make him a consistent NFL quarterback? So that's what I want to see this year, kind of those consistencies.
Before we open it up to Nick and Imran here, you mentioned you think the team will do better, and we'll include this to you guys too. They're over under right now. Team win props are out. Love it. Is at 6.5 wins, and we get one extra game last year. They took home 1 dub last year. So over under, is that what it is? Is it 6.5 or 5.5? Yeah, 6.5.
6.5.
Or nope, just 6 even. Sorry, my bad. 6 even. It's paying even money both ways. Under or over 6 wins.
I said 5. I said 5.
5.
You know, maybe they'll get another one, but I don't know. Their defense is going to be much, much better. So some of those close games they lost last year, they would have won. Their secondary is going to be tremendously better, which is going to help them. And the offense isn't going to have to be as good as it was last year. So that's going to give Lawrence a little freedom there, hopefully.
Okay. Nick, Imran, your expectations for Lawrence and over under 6 wins even. We'll go with Nick.
Well, for the over-under, I'm going to say under because they only won 1 game, and going from 1 to 6 is crazy.
Oh, you got to hit 7. You got to hit 7. It's over. It's 6
7.
even.
Even worse. So I'm going to say under. I do say that there is improvement. The one thing, my expectations for this year for Trevor Lawrence, just seem like you care. Like, seem like you want to be the best. Seem like you want to take this team to the championship because – there's been some talks about how he, if he cares or not cares about football, prove it on the field. You know, it was very easy to play at Clemson when you're going to championships every year, and you have a lot of guys being able to support you. Now you're in Jacksonville, so now you're the guy that has to lead the team. Show that you want it. Last year, there's no doubt in my mind that Justin Herbert wants it. There's no doubt in my mind that Joe Burrow wants it. Those are 2 great picks. Even if Joe Burrow never plays another down again, I would still be very impressed with what he did, even the short time that he played. I just want to see that from Trevor Lawrence. I don't expect you to win every single game, nor do I expect you to win even half your games. But just show that you care, show improvement, show that you're doing the right things to become a better quarterback. The Jacksonville Jaguars have set up the plate for you. They got Urban Meyer to come to Jacksonville for you. I think that is a great situation, but take advantage of it, and that's all I'm going to ask. All right,
Imran?
I was going to say push, but I'll go with the over. So with the 17th game, you're asking me if they can go 7-10. And I think so. So the offense they have in Jacksonville is, really sneaky. DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones, and James Robinson. And their offensive line is not bad at all. They're pretty solid offensive line. So he's coming into a really good situation. And they have all these picks. They have 3 in the first 33. So they're going to improve it a lot. In my mock, I had them taking Pat Freiermuth from Penn State to help build him around the offense, giving him a big target in the middle of the field. And I think they'll be good. Last year, unfortunately, you guys mentioned they won the first game of the year, never won another game. But I think, that's a big jump up from Minshew to Lawrence. And I think they're going to have a better offensive play calling. So my gut says they'll probably push. They'll finish 6-11, but I really wouldn't be surprised because they're in a division with the Texans. That's 2 wins right there. Right. And then so I wouldn't be surprised if they surprise some teams this year.
I'm gonna take the under the 6 wins. I do expect a much better product on the field, and I will say, I have higher expectations for James Robinson with an upgrade with Trevor Lawrence. With Lawrence, I'm not expecting like that Joe Burrow level, that Andrew Luck level type of rookie season. I just want to see him come in and keep things simple. I mean, just not try to overdo it. Urban Meyer needs to be the exact same. He's making the jump to the NFL. So rookie quarterback, rookie coach, I feel like there's just a few too many questions that need to be answered still to say like, oh yeah, this is going to be a team with a winning record or even 7 or 8 wins, right? So I'm going to take under the number, and I really just want, Trev to keep it simple, learn slowly but surely and not to make too many mistakes. I'm going to probably still be bullish on some DJ Chark and some James Robinson. So just protect my assets, Trev. That's all I want, brother. That's all I need. So I'll be a happy camper.
I want to see him make everyone around him better too. Like I would love to see James Robinson take a step forward. Even though he had such a great undrafted rookie season, take a step forward with Trevor Lawrence being there. Maybe in the passing game or something like that. But I really would like to see him elevate people around him and make everybody be like, oh man, like Jacksonville got a lot of young weapons, but these are the same weapons that Minshew was throwing for the 1-win season. So, if he can make them better, then I see it as a win this season.
And we also got to keep in mind too that like Minshew wasn't really the guy all year. They had like Jake Luton in there, Mike Glennon.
Glennon.
My goodness. Go ahead, Rob.
Florida legend.
I was going to say, everybody thinks offense with Urban Meyer, but his teams have always been very good defensively. And he made some moves this year. Shaquille Griffin bringing in, that's a big move. And they had CJ Henderson out most of the year last year. So that's going to be two really good corners there. And a lot of people they're very, very high on Richie Grant. And so they think they're going to bring in another safety because Richie Grant can play any of the corners. He can play safety. He can play the nickel. And so they think they can get him in the second round. And that's going to add like a very good secondary in there. So if you can play better defense, your offense doesn't need to do as much. And so I would buy James Robinson because they're going to run the ball more. And
I was about to segue to that.
Lawrence,
Yeah, so I was about to segue to that. What are your expectations for Robinson with the upgrade at quarterback or any of the other running backs? Divine Awesome Name Ozigbo, and they also added Carlos Hyde.
I think you're going to see better rushing with this team because the O-line, I think, is going to be better. I also think that they're not going to be playing from behind as much. They may be more competitive in the game. They were jumping way behind in games and having to catch up, and that put Minshew, who isn't probably a starting quarterback, in a bad situation. And I think he played well for his level, but Trevor Lawrence has better skills. So they should be closer in these games. Whether they win them or lose them, I don't know. But this will put them closer and maybe their passing totals go down, but hopefully the rushing totals go up some.
I could totally see them be this year's Panthers where they lose a ton of close games and they're super competitive.
What do you think, Nick?
I would love to see James Robinson have maybe like 1,300 yards and maybe like 600 yards receiving. That would be like a great step for me forward, like for him with having Trevor Lawrence. And if Rob says that the O line is going to be better, the D line is going to be better, it's going to take some pressure off of him, and they might run more in terms of like having more volume runs in terms of like spreading out across all their running backs. But for me, for James Robinson, take a step forward in the passing game because I believe he was mostly a 2-down back last year, mostly just a running attack.
Right. So it sounds like we're all buying Robinson this year. That's good to hear. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to lose my mind on some crazy sophomore slump. Not a running back. I'm trying to like move up to like first round in fantasy or anything like that. I still think there's a fair amount of talent ahead of him. But man, that second round, third round, I'm going to be looking to grab them up. Rob, what's the expectations for these receivers? You got Shark, you got Chenal in his second year. You got Marvin Jones coming to the team with a rookie quarterback. I thought Marvin Jones signing was just kind of a cash grab in my opinion because I felt like Marvin Jones could have gone to some teams that could compete now. So what's your expectations for these guys? I'm a big Shark guy, by the way. My head has much less hair on it because of DJ Shark.
Oh yeah. I love him. He's great. And last year they had a lot of receiver injuries. So there was a lot of inconsistency there. Hopefully they all stay healthy and you're going to see more. And I think Trevor Lawrence will help this. I think he'll get the ball out to them better, get more opportunities for each of these guys. So hopefully it'll do well and they'll increase. Just jumping back to the defensive side, I think it's going to open up their offense also because not only did they strengthen their secondary, but a lot of their linebackers were out last year. They were playing with guys on the practice squad last year. And so I don't think they're done with free agency. They're going to see what they can get with the draft, but they still have money to spend. They had the most cap, I think, out of everybody. So I think he's really focusing on the defense because, as Imran said, they had pretty good skill players last year. They have the bones there to be a good team. It's just can they bring it all together? And does that happen this year with Trevor Lawrence, or does it take a year or so? And I personally think it'll take another year before he gets to that level. Okay.
All right, right on. Nick, Imran, what do you guys think about these potential receivers? Nick, I knew that you owned Chenal last year. He was a flyer that you took.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed with his total performance throughout the year. but he is a weapon, and he's a lot bigger than like a Devonta Smith. He has a lot more build. He's just as fast. Maybe a step slower, but I love Laviska Shenault. I think he's going to take a step forward with actually having a starting caliber quarterback playing for him. DJ Shark, I think he's a great deep threat. I think that he's a great weapon for Lawrence to come into and deal with. Marvin Jones, you're right, cash grab, but who wouldn't be excited to play with the number 1 overall pick as a wide receiver? So that's possible, but for me, with the younger ones, I think Shenault and Shark, I have very high hopes for. Everyone else is just going to be filling in the extra passes that are thrown around. So,
Imran?
Yeah, I love the receiving group there. The tight end is the one weakness they have, and I hope they address it in the draft. But I think all 3 of those receivers have unique abilities. Laviska can line up literally anywhere. I know I saw him taking some snaps at running back last year, too, out of the shotgun for them. Marvin Jones, he's a little bit older, but he's still a very good receiver, and I think that's just going to be a solid guy they're going to have, like on third downs, going over the middle. DJ Shark, like you mentioned, takes the top off of defense, and James Robinson is a solid receiver out of the backfield as well. So I really am excited, and I think they're going to be, ironically, like the other 2 teams that are Cats, like the Panthers and Bengals last year, where they were covering a lot of those games because they're those pesky teams that they're just not going to go away. Like Rob mentioned, they're not going to get down early. They're going to fight back this year, and I think they're going to be in a lot of games, and I think they're going to sneak a couple of wins out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm high on all of these guys, actually. I think Marvin Jones, Shenault, and Shark are going to be very fantasy relevant. Shark, I feel like, is going to give you actually, all 3 of them. I think you're going to be able to find all of them at really good value in your drafts because people are still going to be giving him that Jacksonville discount a little bit. It's still a rookie quarterback. There's still questions. You're not going to be prioritizing Shark over even like a Deontay Johnson, in my opinion, who's not even, a full number 1 on his team. Right. So, I really like those guys, what they're set up for this year, especially Shark, despite the fact that he did lose me my full head of hair. My beautiful locks are gone. Rob, if you missed that, Nick and I had a prospect.
I remember.
Yeah, you remember? All right, so yeah, you knew all about it. Yeah, so I lost it to Nick's Devontae Parker. Nick had, Fitzpatrick coming in to save the day every now and again, and I was working with Mike Glennon and Jake Lutton to try to save my head. It's terrible. So hopefully I'm not betting my head again this year. We'll come up with something fun, but I will have DJ Shark involved because I do believe in his progression and Shenault's progression this year. I think Jones will just kind of be that, change of pace type of guy, throws in a handful of catches every now and again, but I feel like they really want to start to move the needle with Shark and Shenault. Rob, next up on here, I want to ask you about Urban Meyer. How long of a leash are you going to give him as a potential fan or just in general? Like what's the cutoff here? Like, is this like a 3 years and then we reevaluate? Could he be gone after a first couple of years if there's not a ton of success with Lawrence here? Like, how long is his leash? Is he the future of this organization as a coach?
I think Urban has his own leash, meaning he will end it. He will end it. He's very good friends with Shad Khan, the owner. And he took this job. They recruited him. I think he wanted to give his go at it because, his issues in college, with recruiting and all this sort of thing. He's just done with that. And I think Urban's the type of guy that needs to win. He has to make that transition in his mind that he's not going to win all the time. And it's just whether he gets frustrated with the situation or not. But I think he'll turn this team around in the next 2-3 years where they'll be very, very competitive. And I think if year 3 he's not really competing, he may start deciding this isn't for me and move on to something else. That's just kind of his pattern in my eyes.
Could he have like that kind of Pete Carroll success, do you feel like? Or is it just kind of a situation where he's just like, this isn't fun anymore. I hate losing.
I think he could potentially, but I think he will win. I just think the pressure that he puts himself under, because that's one of the things with college is recruiting really burned him out. There are stories about him texting kids while he was in church. Like he's just 24/7 an animal, and that's how he would get the best players.
Okay.
And in the NFL, he's a CEO type of guy. He's not sitting there running the offense or the defense. He has his guys there. They'll run it. And I think it'll be a little more relaxed for him because he doesn't have that same pressure. But I think if he can't get to his goal, he's going to tap out. He'll be the one in it, maybe year 4 or so.
All right. Nick, Imran, what's the last straw off the camel's back here for Urban Meyer? What would pole vault him out of the league?
I think if he wasn't seeing progress within like the first 2 years and his health started declining again, then I think he would step away from the game for good. I think that being a head coach in the NFL is a lot different than being a head coach for the college team. Exactly how Rob mentioned, it is a CEO. I don't think he'll have that pressure anymore because, he's just there to coach football. But I do think I agree with Rob. He has his own leash. I don't think Shad Khan will be like, yeah, Urban, you're out of here. Like, there's no way he's going to say that to him. He's just going to be like, hey, Urban, what's going on? And Urban's like, I thought about it. I think I'm going to step away. I think that's how it's going to end up being if there's no progress. If they're progressing and he can feel that, he has one more year, or he needs one more year just to get over that hump, I think he's definitely going to take it because he's one of those guys that wants to be able to positively affect the team and not be a distraction. That's why he stepped away with the medical issues, like the chest issues and stuff, because he felt like that was a distraction. And, they still had success even after he left. But he did it correctly. He didn't allow that to become like a focal point for the team. He allowed the team to concentrate on playing football.
All right, right on. Imran, bring us full circle here.
I think it's going to be probably that 3-year range. We got to just be seeing progress with the Jaguars. They're going to have a lot of young talent, a lot of high draft picks, and progress isn't always wins. If they go, what's the number, like 4-13 this year, but they're like in a lot of games, they're competing. They're just losing because they're young and they don't have quite all the talent. And that's different than, just getting their ass kicked every week. So if they're competing, they're making progress, I think he'll be fine. But if they have a lot of these 4-13, 3-14 seasons, I think that either he'll stop down or he'll go away. But I think 3 years is a good window to look at that and see how he's doing.
Right. My number is 4 years with no playoffs. I think that's like, is that not enough time to say like, hey, bro, like you don't got it?
Hard stop.
Oh, yeah. He'll tap out if he's not in the playoffs in 4 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's a really practical number to aim for. Is like 4 years, no playoffs. Like, it just didn't work. Like your first 2 years, we gave it to you. Like, first year was your experiment year. You should have taken a bigger leap. If you haven't done it by now, like we need to look elsewhere because you still want to leverage. Rob, you had mentioned it like that formula, and I know you've mentioned it on your own podcast before about having that affordable quarterback to make those runs to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I'll throw that out there. Do you believe that they could actually make that run at some point?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I think in 3-4 years. I mean, if you look back at the Jags historically, they were in the AFC Championship with Bortles, right?
Yep.
And
Yes, sir.
Then what happened? They started getting letters. They started getting letters from the players' union saying you should decide if you want to re-sign with this team or not. That's really bad, and that was the downfall of Coughlin. And that's when everybody wanted to start getting traded. Jalen Ramsey, all these guys just started jumping ship. And they actually had a pretty good team back then. And all of a sudden they went to nothing and they said, well, we've got to just get rid of everybody. That's the reason they started trading everyone, is they needed to change the culture. And that's the reason it was so important for them to bring Urban Meyer in, is to change this culture and have players on his side. Now, the caveat to that is he's used to manipulating players in college because they're young, right? That's it. Maybe manipulating is the wrong word, but motivating, right? He really brings them up and motivates them and gets them to run through walls. He's not going to do that in the NFL. They're going to be like, bro, this is my time. I'm done. Practice is over, and he's not going to be able to do the same thing with them. So I think that may be the other thing that frustrates him.
Right. I think you were spot on, by the way, with that manipulate word. I think you hit it on the head. What do you think, Nick? You think this Meyer and Lawrence connection can make a Super Bowl run? And we'll say 5 years. I'll give them the extra year.
Honestly, no. I think if Meyer had actually came to the NFL like 5 years ago, I would say absolutely yes, because I think that back then there was no health concerns. Like, he was at the top of his game. But now he's kind of seen how the NFL or the college game took a toll on him. The NFL, man, there's a lot more millions of dollars floating around that people are paying for. So I don't think that they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, but I do think that they will make a playoff push. And I think Meyer is a great step for the next generation coach to come in and be like, all right, well, I laid the foundation for you. Here you go. And I think that the next coach will take him.
All right, Imran?
Yeah, I think so. I think with all the the big thing to make a Super Bowl run is having a quarterback, and by all means, it looks like they're going to get that with Trevor Lawrence. and they're going to have a lot of other young talent that they're going to be able to build upon, and that are going to be cost control for a very long time. I mean, they did it with Blake Bortles, right? Why can't they do it with Trevor Lawrence? I feel like what's going to happen is in 3 or 4 years, Urban Meyer may step down, and then by that point, the Jets will have pissed off Robert Saleh, and then he's going to end up being the Jaguars head coach, and he'll take
okay. Okay, should have just came here already, but no big deal. We'll transition after Wilson to Lawrence, no big deal. All right, I think they could. I think they could do it. I don't have a ton of confidence though, especially not in Meyer. Like the college coaches coming over, I still think that there is that learning curve. Playing catch up with the rest of these guys that have been building their game plans in the NFL for many years. Obviously, we see a lot of internal hirings, right? We always see like the next guy up on the team, or someone sniping somebody's specialist, whether it's their offensive coordinator or quarterback coach, whatever it is. So I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, and that'll put them outside like kind of that 5-year gap. So, all right, that was a really good conversation though on the Jags. Let's move on to the Bucks. But before we do, if you haven't already, be sure to like and share the video and follow us on YouTube /Take It to the Hizzy. Next up, we've got the Buccaneers and Rob. I mean, which is it? Like, who is the favorite here? Is it the Bucks or the Jags? You're a Florida guy, so like, who's the team at the end of the day? Kind of break that down for us really quick.
Oh, the Bucks have always been it for me. I grew up watching the Bucks, before the Jags even existed. And the reason I started following the Jags is some of the players. I went to UCF, so I followed Blake Bortles there. Then some other players went there that I followed, and then Jameis Winston happened. And I, as much as I like his talent on the field at times, I just couldn't take him off the field. And I said, I got to the point where I couldn't watch him. I couldn't take the turnovers on my own 20 anymore when the defense was playing lights out. And I said, I'm just going to turn it off, and I'll come back to the Bucks when he's gone. And that was last year, and then three comes, and I'm really happy. So I'm back to the Bucks, so.
Right on. Did you go to any the parade or anything, or doing any celebration for the Super Bowl?
No, I didn't make it over there. I'm in Orlando, so I'm a little far away from that. But yeah, we celebrated here. It was a lot of fun. Long time in between Super Bowls, so hopefully they can do it again this year. We'll see. All
right, well, let's jump right into that. First topic up here, another round of Tom versus Time. Does Tom last every game this season? Does he play all 17 games?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Look, the guy runs at him, he dives on the ground. So, he's going to take that yardage loss because he knows they'll make it back up. He's not going to risk himself getting hurt.
Right. No, Nick and Imran, Tom versus Time. Who's taking this round this year?
Time is undefeated, but that TB12 diet has really been working wonders for him. So I think he got a couple extra years. We saw when he won a Super Bowl after age 40, and then he comes back and takes a random team to the Super Bowl. Not really random, but you know what I'm saying. Like, he just kind of picked a team out of a hat and was like, all right, let's go. I think that we got maybe 2 more years of him.
All right. Imran, Tom versus Time, another round. What do we got?
I'm always going to ride with Tom. I'm going to gladly be late to that party. I don't see him. I hope people just appreciate what we have with Tom Brady. He's basically had three Hall of Fame careers: his 20s, his 30s, and now his 40s. It's amazing. I don't know what else to say.
I'm in the same bag. I'm in agreement with all of you guys. But what I think is really interesting is it seems like everybody is, even the Buccaneers organization. I would feel a lot better about the Buccaneers. I'm not a Buccaneers fan, but if I was, I would want something a little bit better than Ryan Griffin at backup quarterback, because this team is better than that too. Better than both of those combined. I just feel like with some of the names out there, I wouldn't hate if I saw a Nick Mullins go there and play backup. Just something with a little bit more of an upside, just to say hey, if something does happen, because we're all in the opinion that it won't, right? But if it did, you'd just be in a little bit better of a spot. Rob, are you comfortable with these backup quarterbacks? Is Blaine Gabbert even on the roster? I thought it was just Ryan Griffin.
No, I think they're both there, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. If he goes down, the Bucks are done. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Much. I mean, but at that point, do you try to just get a hire off the street, some guy? I mean, I wish they never would have gotten rid of Fitzmagic. Because he's an instant break in case of emergency, or even you could even plug someone in like Gardner Minshew. You can get someone like that can play a few games that's accurate and can get the ball out, because that offense is so talented. It is so talented. You just need someone back there that's accurate and knows where to go with the ball. So
Well, I
They
wanted
would
Mitch to
pick
go
up
there,
someone,
so
you
that
know?
wouldn't have been your guy. I was trying to get Mitch to go to Tampa. He wouldn't listen to me. He's like, I like Buffalo. I like snow. I don't like sunshine. I drive a Corolla, not a Maserati. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I feel like they should upgrade their backup quarterback. Like, and maybe they will. Like, maybe we're just a little bit too early to that party because, yeah, you're right. Like, if he goes down, like, what's left? You know, I just don't get it. Next up, Rob, do we still have a championship defense in place? Like, I felt like that was the identity of the team to really close things out, especially looking back at that Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes running for his life. Is this still a defense that's going to be able to carry them on a deep playoff run?
Yeah, I think so. They really weren't that healthy last year until the end of the season. Both kind of on offensive line, they kept mixing people in and out, and on defense, they were finally healthy for the end of the season. So I think they're solid. They re-signed everybody. So, I think through this draft, it's going to be fun for them because they're just going to pick probably the best guy for depth as they go along. And I think it's going to be very unpredictable. They're just going to look at the best guy on the board and take them and try to develop depth.
Love it. Absolutely love it. What do you think, Nick? Still a championship defense in place?
Yeah. Most times when teams win a championship, you see everybody vote for that money, but everybody is kind of like enamored playing with Tom Brady because they are recognizing the greatness of him. Crazy stat. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it, but Tom Brady's more likely to go to the Super Bowl than Steph Curry is to make a 3-pointer.
Yeah,
That's a crazy fact. You play with Tom Brady, you got a 50% shot of going to the Super Bowl. So, get it while you can. There's only a couple more years left. And, if he stays on there, and the defense, I mean, Antonio Winfield Jr., like, he was playing like a man possessed last year, especially during the playoffs. Like, I was highly impressed with him. And Devin White, like, he did well. I just was impressed all around by the defense, and it really came together. And having Tom Brady on a team allows them to do their job instead of having to play offense with defense.
All right, right on. Same to you, Imran?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't lose anybody. And like we were talking about right before it kicked off the show, the rich get richer. They're going to get a full draft class. And like Rob mentioned, add a bunch of depth guys that are just going to be the wings. And also, I think what may make them even better is I think they may trade out of 32 because some team's going to come up for that sixth quarterback. And then they're going to get more picks. And I think they're just going to load up all over the place. D-line, maybe Rob, they take a shot on a quarterback in the third or fourth round. Say, why not?
Yeah,
you got all these picks.
Yeah. If they see someone they like, that wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a resounding yes as well. To me, the biggest difference maker, I mean, Anton Winfield Jr., that guy was amazing, but that front seven was one of the best in the league. I think it will be again this year. I think that San Francisco is going to kind of enter back into that conversation. With Bosa back healthy, right? So I think we'll see them back in it, but I think Tampa is still going to be in that conversation, and that's where the pressure starts, and that's what won them a Super Bowl. So I'm going to go with a resounding yes. Rob, what are your expectations for these receivers? Right now we got Godwin's, we've got Evans, we've talked a little bit about Antonio Brown coming back. Let's say he doesn't, right? And you're sitting there with those two and Miller, Watson, Tyler Johnson. What are your expectations for those two lead dogs? And then who do you think from those three kind of takes the biggest step forward?
Maybe this is going to be a hot take, but I think they kind of all take a step back a little bit.
Oh,
and the reason
okay.
I say that is because they're going to get OJ Howard back, and they're going to have Brait and Gronk. So I think you're going to see those guys. They kind of saved Gronk until the playoffs. Well, they're going to do the same thing again. But OJ Howard's a beast, and he didn't play very much last year at all. And they have super high expectations for him this year. So I think whoever the receivers are, Brady's going to spread the ball around. And I think they're going to try to run the ball some, slow the game down. They've got a good defense and protect Brady for the playoffs because it's just like LeBron's teams now in the NBA. They don't care about the regular season. Take games off, relax. Tom can take the game off, but you can protect him and save them for the playoffs. All you need to do is get in and make a run. So I think that's where their goal is. That's where Tom Brady is. There were stories coming out that Tom Brady would randomly text the guys at like 2:00 in the morning saying, "Oh, look, this is what this guy's going to do on this play. So look out for it." I mean, just like randomly all the time.
I just love it. I love it so much.
Are you guys ready to go at 4 a.m? So that adds more responsibility to the whole team and raises the whole level. But I think he's going to spread the ball around. So maybe maybe some of their numbers drop off some, but I think as long as they're getting a ring, those guys don't care.
All right, so I'll add this caveat in there then. In fantasy or in general, whatever, because I know you're not like a big fantasy guy. Who's the guy to have then? Like of all of them, who's the guy to have? Evans, Godwin, any backups, even Antonio Brown, if you want to throw him in.
I love Evans, but I think Godwin's going to be the one to step up out of those. I think he's the biggest playmaker out of them. So I think he's the one that you look to.
Okay. Same question for you guys. Nick, Imran, we'll start with Nick. Who's essentially going to be the lead dog, and what expectations do you have for any of them?
The lead dog for me, Mike Evans. The guy's a man. He's like the perfect wide receiver for Tom Brady. And 1B is Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin could be a starting or a number one wide receiver on any other team in the NFL, and he chose to stay with Tampa Bay because he wants to win the championships. OJ Howard is in the same cloth for me as David Njoku. Just uber talented, uber athletic, but just cannot put it together no matter what. And, we're talking about two tight end systems. Last year, OJ Howard should have just lit it up because he has that ability. But Cameron Brate kept getting passes, and, it seemed like Tom Brady was a little bit more comfortable with him. Gronk obviously, came on really strong towards the end of the season. But OJ Howard, I'm kind of been disappointed. He should have taken the step forward that Irv Smith took last year.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Imran?
Well, I know Howard was injured most of the year last year. I know that definitely played a part into it, but I totally forgot that he's coming back too. So that offense is just so diverse. You got two tight ends that can block, that can get over, that are athletic. Three good receivers, because I think we all assume that Brown's going to end up coming back. But I think the lead dog is Mike Evans. This is his team. He's got 1,000 yards every year he's been in the NFL, right? Even if he misses games, he's so consistent. And he's very selfless. I think he was willing to take a pay cut if that meant, we could keep all of the Bucks team together. So I definitely think it's Mike Evans, and I think he's amazingly talented. Between
who's the lead guy, I'm still going to go with Godwin because he just seems more of the friendly target for Tom Brady. And I felt like Mike Evans' strengths were really stretching the field, and that's an area where Tom kind of lacked last season, was hitting guys out over the 20-yard line, 20 yards or more. So I feel like Godwin is a little bit more friendly to the scheme, to the playbook, and just how they're just going to in general move the chains, because you don't need Tom to just blow up at anybody's spot. And Mike Evans does have that pride where, I don't need the targets. No. I'm going to open up space. I'm going to take things downfield, and I'm going to create some more opportunities for Howard, Godwin, maybe somebody else like a Scotty Miller or Tyler Johnson random bomb down the field, right? So I feel like that pride almost kind of hinders his numbers a little bit, because he's not worried about getting those. He's not worried about the production. He just wants to win. And as a football fan, you got to admire the hell out of that. But if you're playing fantasy, I would probably be targeting Godwin over Evans still. But I feel like in redraft, we'll still probably see Evans go ahead of him. Last year, I felt like the storyline was constantly Godwin blows up for 5 to 7 catches and this X amount of yardage. Oh, hey, there's Mike Evans with a 1-yard touchdown. Hey, there's a fade for Mike Evans in the corner for a 1-yard catch. So if that's what you're interested in, by all means, go ahead. But I feel like Godwin will be that guy. If Antonio was to come back, I feel like that's really, really going to convolute the situation. I feel like that would kind of ruin that take a little bit. Who knows what could happen, with him, completely at 100% all year long on that roster. I feel like the sky would be the limit. We'll start off with the running backs now, Rob. We got Rojo, we've got Leonard Fournette, we've got Giovanni Bernard. Who's the other guy? Keyshawn Vaughn. Vaughn's in this mix here. Is this really just going to be it doesn't matter. We're not going to have a lead guy. It's just going to be super situational. Do you have anyone there that is just above the rest? I don't think so.
I think they're just keep going to roll with Rojo. He's their guy. Okay. He's the most versatile out of them. He's their lead back. And that's what they've said. And Fournette is kind of their big guy to pound it through. And, Vaughn, he really never he was supposed to have big things, but he never materialized last year at all. So I think you're going to see Rojo and Fournette again. It's going to be a combo. We've had a beast.
So who catches more balls this year, Rojo or Fournette? Because I swear, I know Nick and we watched a few Bucks games live because they were always on the prime time, like Thursday nights and whatnot, and we were always doing Monday and Thursday night football here at the Hizzy. So we were just constantly watching just balls right through the hands. Same thing with Fournette when we were just like, we had our hands up, like who's supposed to catch the ball back there? Like who is supposed to be the guy? Is Giovanni Bernard just going to be that guy? Are they not even going to bother with those two?
Well, I think that's the reason they have him there, and that's the reason they have Keyshawn Vaughn, because they're better at catching the ball and going, and that was the idea. But for some reason, they couldn't work their way up on the depth chart, and I don't know if that's because they couldn't help with the pass protection, they couldn't run the ball the way they needed them to run. But I don't think it really matters that much with these tight ends. They'll run tight end screens, they'll switch it around, and they have 3 guys out there. They could put all 3 at one time. Yeah,
I think back to the days of the Patriots, and there was just always a revolving door for Tom at running back, and I just feel like they're kind of setting up that same formula in Tampa, and I think it'll actually produce a great game plan because defenses just aren't going to know what to expect. Like, to me, Rojo's my guy of the group. Like, I've been begging the free Rojo drum since he came into the league, since Winston was there, right? Like, he should have just been getting more touches, more volume, more opportunity to just grow at the position, and I always felt like there was just some part of this team that was, or even the coaching staff, just holding him back. So to me, he's the guy, but I feel like it's just going to be a complete revolving door all year. Nick and Imran, who do you think? Is there a lead guy there, or is it just constantly situational?
Constantly situational. Like you said, Tom doesn't care who's the running back. He just needs someone there to just pick up the blocker when needed. He does a very West Coast offense. They are just grabbing every style of running back possible. So for any situation, they can just throw in whoever. And that's kind of how I feel. I don't think anyone's going to really step out and, be head and shoulders above everyone else. If anybody, though, it would be Ronald Jones. I am out on Leonard Fournette. Like, I've watched him from high school to college to pros. He just wanted to get to the pros and make that money. He was supposed to take over the NFL. I know the NFL has changed a little bit, but he has not done what he was supposed to do based on the potential that everyone says. So I think Ronald Jones is a lot better NFL running back than Leonard Fournette.
All right, fair enough. Imran, close it out for us.
Sure. I think football purposes, they have an awesome backfield because they have so much versatility and they have people that can do a little bit of everything. It's not going to be a backfield go off for fantasy because it's going to be a pure committee. There's not going to be a lead dog. So I think it's just going to be a committee. I think Rojo will handle and Fournette will handle a lot of the running game, and Gio Bernard is going to do a lot of the passing game work. They gave Rojo a lot of chances last year to be a pass catcher. I just remember so many games where he would just drop a lot of passes, and it just would kill me because you could tell they wanted him to be the guy. Like, let's just see you. And he just made these 3-yard dump offs, and he would drop them, and Brady was like, "What the fuck, man?"
I've seen him put his hands up, like, bro, like, why did you do that? Like, don't drop my passes, man. Like, that's. I mean, Peyton Manning has told stories about how he's ruined guys' careers over that. Like, yeah, you dropped a pass, go to the sideline, just get off the field. Not saying Tom's the same way, but I mean, I have heard Tom say, like, hey, when you get on the field, you need to make it count because it could be your last opportunity. So he is still one of those guys. So that was always puzzling to me. He just could not get that going, in the pass catching game. But yeah, I'm all about free Rojo. Hopefully he can get it done this year and have a little bit more upside. To close out the Buccaneers, we'll keep it very simple. Rob Gronkowski says that there is a 69% giggity chance that Julian Edelman is a Buccaneer this season. Buy or sell Julian Edelman in white and red this year. What do you think, Rob?
Sell. Yeah, I think Edelman. I think he is physically just done. I don't think he can do it anymore. And I don't know. Maybe you guys know better than I do, but the time that they announced that he failed his physical, is this a normal time of year to have a physical for a veteran player?
I listened to your podcast. I know exactly where you're going with that, and I agree. It is a very weird time to do it because it was last month, so March. Yeah, or was it this month? Weird time, right?
So my conspiracy is that they were going to cut him, right? And he said, "Listen, I don't want to play for anyone else. Just say I don't pass the physical, and I'll retire." And then you can say the wheels came off, and that's the end of it. I mean, who knows what the truth is? But I think he wanted to retire a Patriot. I think he would have gone to the Bucks last year if they would have let him go and trade. But I mean, is he going to get on the field with the receivers they have? I mean, I know he's Edelman, but the receivers they have, he's not making it on the field, right?
Right. As it looks right now. as it looks right now.
Crazy thought. What about a backup quarterback? He could be the backup quarterback.
Well, I thought that last year they should have played him as a quarterback with the Patriots. But,
they should have, yeah.
He couldn't have done any worse, I guess.
I'm going to sell on Edelman going to the Bucks. I mean, basically, Gronk could have said 0, and he said the exact same thing. Like 69%, 0%. It doesn't matter. He's not coming. I think Edelman is done. I think he's happy with his career. But I'm going to say again, like we did on the last show, he is not a Hall of Famer.
God, I cannot believe that was even an argument for people.
Yeah,
as much as Falk has this receiving yards of what he does, then Edelman is no, you're wrong. You're completely wrong. But that's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Edelman's had a really good career. That said, he's had a good career. He's not a Hall of Famer. People need to get off that high horse. I don't know what they're smoking. But if he goes to Tampa, I mean, I really don't see the reason. He's had a lot of concussions and a lot of injuries in his career. I don't see the benefit because if you look at it, Evans, Godwin, Gronk, Howard, Scotty Miller, Antonio Brown, Gio Bernard, in no particular order.
Not to mention they could draft other wide receivers this year.
Yeah, and like I said, they probably will. I mean, because they can get whatever they want. Like it's literally just best player on the board. Like it's just I don't know what he would be doing there.
Yeah. All right, yeah, fair enough. I'm not putting him there. I'm going to sell as well. I don't think it's going to happen. But as a fun little tidbit, it's the whole 69% thing. Robert Gronkowski had to throw it out there for the Bucks, right? Last thing. I'm sorry, that was not the last thing. Over under 12 wins this year for the Buccaneers. Remember, we get 17 games, and last year they won 11. Right now, Rob, the over 12 games is at plus 100 to the unders minus 130. Well, which way you going?
I'm going over with them. I'm going over.
All right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent there. What do you think, Nick?
I'm going to say under, but it's going to be like 11. I think, like Rob says, they are going to take some games off. They are going to try and, save Tom and the important people for the playoffs because they know it's pretty easy with Tom Brady on your team to make the playoffs. I mean, there were times last year where we were like, man, is Tom Brady even, the quarterback that he was? And sure enough, when November, December rolled around, he just was like, hold my beer real quick. So, I'm going to say under, but they're still going to be like 11 and something. And I don't think that their division is exactly like the hardest division to overcome. So it could be like an NFC East situation, but they're just head and shoulders above everyone else.
Knocking on wood so that doesn't happen. What do you think, Imran?
Yeah, I'm taking the over. I mean, their division, I think, I don't know if it's a cakewalk, but the Panthers are up and coming. They can handle the Panthers. Winston, Hill doesn't scare me. Falcons, we don't know what they're doing. So having them go 12-5, I mean, I don't think that's really concerning to me. And the NFC as a whole, there's a lot of, NFC's not deep at all, guys. And NFC East speaks for itself. NFC North really just got the Packers. NFC West, you got the Rams and the Seahawks, but I don't really see them getting a lot of competition. So I think they'll, even with them maybe not being a full strength in all games, 12-5, I think is really doable, or even 13-4.
Yeah, I'm going with the over as well. That division right now, after the Saints lost to Drew Brees, and they're, even if it's a mini rebuild, like even if they're competing right now, they're going to be a mirror of what they've been. So I'm going to go 13-4. It is now. So give me the 13-4, maybe even a 14-3. The Packers, they've won back-to-back 13-3 seasons, and I think this Tampa roster is better than both of those teams that they've put together. So yeah, give me the 13-4 or the 14-3. I'm all about it. All right, let's move on to our favorite draft props to close out the show. Before we do, please be sure to smash the like button, share the video, and follow us on YouTube /Take It to the Hizzy. First one up here, guys. We only got a few, and we're going to kick it. It's been a great show so far. Rob, again, been awesome having you on. First up here, we've got first defensive player picked in this draft. We've got Surtain as the favorite at minus 150, Micah Parsons at plus 250, J.C. Horn at plus 350. Any value for here? We'll start with Rob.
I think it's going to be Patrick Surtain. I think he's going to be one with the close second of Micah Parsons, but I think Patrick Surtain will go. All
right, Nick.
Cowboys need defense. The only situation that they don't choose defense is if Kyle Pitts falls to 10. I do not see them falling. I do not see him falling to 10. There's just too many teams that are just enamored with his ability. So I feel that the bus stops at 10, and it's going to be Patrick Surtain. So that's my pick.
All right, right on. Imran?
I think if you're looking for a value, I think Michael Parsons at plus 250 is intriguing. Detroit, as much as obvious as a wide receiver is a need for them to have Dan Campbell as head coach. Apparently, he's looking for ankle biters or knee biters or something. Inside linebacker is a big need for them, so that wouldn't shock me. So that could be a good value pick at plus 250, but I mean, Surtain seems like the obvious one.
What's an ankle biter, by the way? Like, is that like a diet gator roll? Like, I don't understand the reference.
I don't know.
Cheers to the dude. I guess so. Yeah, I'll take Surtain. I mean, I'll just take the favorite here. I mean, we really need something to happen for Parsons to move up, or even Horn. Parsons, I feel like, you mentioned Detroit, also Carolina, who we mentioned earlier. Maybe they look for that Luke Kuechly replacement if they believe he could potentially be that guy. But I think the favorite is probably the winner here in Patrick Surtain the second. Third overall pick right now, Mac Jones is the favorite, minus 150. But all of us have said Justin Fields. Are we all in agreement at plus 160? Make a little bit of cheddar today. Justin Fields at 3. Are we all in agreement?
Yeah,
Rob?
I think so.
All right, Nick? Did I lose Nick?
Yep.
I don't have my screen up.
You're good. Yep. I'm saying Justin Field goes to 3.
All right, Imran, we're locking it in?
Yeah, Lance or Fields, that's good value there.
Guys, let's make some money then. Let's go. Plus 150, plus 160. Come on. Let's get to the books. Let's make some cash. Next one up, we've got the Chargers. First pick, offense or defense? Offense, it's not out of this world value, but I'm very confident that they take offense. It's paying minus 175. Defense is plus 135. Are you guys all in on them taking an offensive tackle in the first round? Start with Rob.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be offense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nick?
I think it'll be offense, yeah.
Imran, you're good?
Yep.
Again, a money maker here, minus 175. Again, it's not out of this world value, but you can make that, tie it into Justin Fields. That would be great. That'd be a great parlay if you can, right? The books may not let you.
Props, they usually don't let you.
Yeah, well, some do. It depends. Next up, we've got Kadarius Toney over under 29.5 selection. Over 29.5 is paying minus 130. Under 29.5 is minus 110. Imran, you had him at 23. You're still with it?
Oh, yeah, he's going under 29.5. There's too many teams that would take him.
All right. Rob?
Yeah, my heart wants him to be over because I want him to go to the Jags, but it's going to be under.
Okay. Nick?
Well, you can still go to the Jags, Rob, because they have that second pick.
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
I don't know that they will the second pick. They may.
Yeah, definitely under. He's definitely getting picked in the first round, and it's not going to be a late pick either.
Well, the under is not a plus option, but I like it as well. Give me the under 29.5, but it's still paying minus 110, nearly even money. Another a good option here to make some paper. Last one here. This is probably my favorite. Kyle Pitts, 5.5. Over or under? Right now, the under 5.5, meaning he is an Atlanta Falcon or he is a Cincinnati Bengal, is paying minus 175. I am completely opposite of that. Over 5.5 is paying plus 135. Are we with it? Are we for sure saying that Pitts is not a Falcon or a Bengal? I am.
He's a Dolphin.
He's a Dolphin.
He's a
It's got to be
Dolphin.
a 10.
Yeah, I think he's going to definitely go over. I think that there's going to be running quarterbacks, and that's what's going to make him slide. So,
Yeah, guys, take a look at your books. Take a look at your potential providers. If you can't get on a FanDuel or a DraftKings, check out. We use Jazz Sports over here, betonline.ag, where I got these numbers. There's plus options out there that are going to give you nothing but profit. So if you see this going the same way, like if you're in agreement with us, like how can these numbers even be the way they are, which is what I've been asking myself. Lay some money, make a few bucks here. So I really like those. I really don't have anything else to close the show out with. Rob, I kind of wanted to give you a minute here to just talk about the Sports Bliss brand and let everybody know where they can find you.
Oh yeah, you can check out our pod. It comes out every Tuesday and Friday. We're kind of light on sports. We take a funny view on it. I like to talk more about the social issues of sports. We'll talk about the headlines. We'll talk about our favorite teams, the Bucks, the Jags, the Dolphins, anything in Florida. We talk a lot of college football. We love college football, so we talk that all year. And you can find us on all major platforms. You can find us on our website. That's sportsblisswithrobandchris.com, and Chris is with a K. So check us out.
Yeah, go check them out, guys. They're a very good listen. And unlike us, where we're like outwardly winded with our words at 2 hours and 3 minutes here, they keep their stuff, nice and short. And, you can hit it on your lunch, get some nice background info. I like the social stuff as well. So, yeah, it's very good. And I like the dad jokes. I like the dad joke section. It's always good. Always gets me going. What do you get when you mix an elephant and a rhino?
What do you get?
Elephino.
I love it.
That was the name of a bar that John Taffer rescued. That I watched that last night, so I had to throw that in there.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I really liked it. And if you ever own a bar, don't make a dad joke out of the name. Like, what the hell? Like, man. Or lease out your kitchen. Go check out that episode, guys. Elefino. All right, cool. Nick, Imran, you got anything to close down the show with, boys?
Hold your Doge.
Hold your Doge. Imran?
No, nothing from me. I'm all in on Doge and all in on Safe Moon. Let's go to the moon, baby. And I'm excited for draft week. Please
Absolutely.
Don't draft Mac Jones Bears. Please don't draft Mac Jones.
Then we have a three-way quarterback competition. He fell to us. What do we do? All right. Well, this was taken to his.
You know what's funny is everybody's like, oh, he should be a first-round pick. But when you ask everybody if they want him on their team, everybody's like, no. I don't want him on my team.
That's not true.
Give him to the next guy.
I don't know.
I don't want him, but this next guy behind me, he's our guy. Oh, no. We don't want him either. All right. Good stuff, boys. Good stuff. Again, Rob, appreciate you coming by, stopping by the Hizzy, talking some ball. Welcome back anytime, sir. You were a great. It was great to have you. It was great to have you. So
thanks for having me. Enjoyed it.
Yep. Take care, guys. Be well. This was TITTH 134. We'll see you tomorrow for 135 for hockey. Take care.